Am I on?
Yep.
Oh, you got it. Councilwoman Goldberg,
Here.
Councilman Pagan,
Here.
Councilwoman G,
Here.
Councilman Katz,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Organ, here, Mayor Schwartz.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 300-2024. Sending a copy to the newspapers officially designated for 2025 by the resolution number 2-2025. Filing a copy in the township clerk's office and posting it on the municipal building bulletin board. And the mayor hereby directs that the statement be included in the minutes.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. The Township Administration present at tonight's meeting are Jacqueline Hashmat, our Township Manager, Doug Riccione, our Township Clerk, Kristen Denorci, our Deputy Township Clerk, Scott Salmon, our Township Attorney, Mike Asher, our Township Redevelopment Attorney, Ron Goodman, our Volunteer Cable Master. For the public's information, we're currently holding a hybrid format meeting. We have people in person and on Zoom. If our Wi-Fi at the municipal building has an issue where the Zoom meeting drops, we will aim to retrieve the connection and continue the meeting. If you haven't yet signed up for our website updates and township alerts, please do so. The next regular council meeting will be on Tuesday, January 6th, starting at 6:30 p.m. The public portion beginning at 8 p.m. The municipal offices will be closed on Thursday, December 25th for Christmas and Thursday, January 1st for New Year's Day. The township menorah lighting will be on Monday, December 15th at 5:30 p.m. on the municipal green. The Township Kwanzaa observance will be Sunday, December 28th, 4 p.m. in council chambers, followed by the Kwanzaa Kinara lighting on the municipal green at 5 p.m. The Township Toy Drive ends December 15th. There's still time to donate. More information is on our website. The Santa drive-through by our fire department will be on Sunday, December 21st, 4 p.m. The map and route are on our website. Council may in closed session to discuss the following: advisory board interviews, personnel, contracts, zoning, monuments, legal issues or opinions regarding any items on the open session agenda, litigation updates, and Oprah. And before we start, happy holidays to everyone who is observing. With that, we will start our meeting and go right into our first, which I believe is a presentation. In our first order is going to be a presentation by Crossroads on the American Legion Drive update. Attorney Tavel, if you want to start that off, or Mr. Ash, please start.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just want to briefly introduce this presentation this evening. This presentation will be by Crossroads, who is presenting a project that we've talked about extensively for the past few years. This results initially from a settlement agreement between the Township, Crossroads, and Stop and Shop. There have been a number of community engagement and input meetings over the years. This developer, Crossroads, has been in front of the zoning subcommittee on multiple occasions, bringing different iterations of this project concept for consideration by the zoning subcommittee and the public at large. Right now, the current status is there is a draft redevelopment plan that has been prepared by the township's redevelopment planner topology. The redevelopment plan is in furtherance of and in compliance with the settlement agreement between the township and Stop and Shop. Stop and Shop has reviewed and provided, revisions that are acceptable to Stop and Shop. And we believe we have a draft of that redevelopment plan that is acceptable to Crossroads, acceptable to Stop and Shop. And now, over the next few weeks, it'll be presented to the Township Council for your approval. This process will be just like all redevelopment plans, that is adopted as an ordinance. That is not on your agenda this evening, however. Tonight, the developer wants to present the latest iteration of the concept and demonstrate to you, present to you and the public what is in the redevelopment plan and how it outlines the project concept that they want to put forward. I also want to mention that this project is included in TNEC's approved fair share housing plan, which the planning board and the township council adopted back in June of this year. Not only is this project included in that plan, it's a significant component of that plan. And by significant, of the 124.5 affordable units / credits that TNEC is committed to providing in this fourth round compliance, which is due by the end of this year, December 31st, 2025. This project alone provides 48 total affordable units, and under the fourth round methodology will result in a total of 72 bonus credits with the units. So out of 124.5, this project alone provides 72 of your 124.5. The runner show for this presentation is Mr. Tuvell is going to bring some of the experts involved in the project. The experts, the professionals, are going to tell you what's in this project, what's in the plan. Tonight, again, is a presentation. We expect, in compliance with our fourth round affordable housing obligation, the redevelopment plan will be scheduled for introduction as an ordinance next year at a future meeting to be determined. And so with that, I will hand the podium over to Jason Tuvell, Esquire.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Jason Tuvell, I'm the attorney for Crossroads. Mike, thanks for that introduction. So I'm not going to, there was a couple points that I was going to make that Mike already made, so I won't go over those. But essentially, we've been at this process with the township, with the public for close to almost 6 years. I would say around a little over 5 years. This started back in 2020 when the planning board did a study of the subject areas. As Michael indicated, there was some litigation that was settled between the township, Stop and Shop, and the developer. And we're at a point now where we're looking at the redevelopment plan in accordance with the housing plan as well. But let's just take a little bit of a step back. I just want to kind of go through the iterations of this plan that have already occurred based on township feedback from the township zoning subcommittee, council members, as well as members of the public and the township's professionals. So after all that litigation ended, we had our first public meeting actually on July 31st, 2023. So that's over about 2.5 years ago. That community meeting was held where Crossroads presented to the public. As a result of that meeting, on October 2nd, 2023, we submitted revised plans for the township for their consideration. So let me just explain what changed between the initial iteration and the comments that we got back at that initial public meeting. So at first, the total number of units, which is comprised of units along Beverly Road and then also along American Legion Drive and Alma Terrace, was reduced from 364 units, residential units, to 318 residential units. So there were comments regarding parking, comments regarding density. So it was reduced from 364 to 318 in that after that initial meeting based on feedback that we received. The parking garage was also reduced from 979 spaces to 943 spaces. And we'll go over that. But as the township recalls and as members of the public recall, a public garage is part of this development. The building height, and I'm going to go through some of the different buildings. So the building height along Beverly Road was reduced from 5 stories to 4 stories after that initial public meeting. And the building height at American Legion Drive, at the corner of American Legion Drive and Alma Terrace, was reduced from 6 stories to 4 stories. So again, once we received that initial feedback, there was a significant reduction in the overall development that we heard. Then there was a second public hearing where initial comments were heard. We presented the changes that we made. And again, there were some more comments that were heard. There were more issues that were raised. So after that second public meeting, what did the developer do? So they reduced the Beverly Road garage at the corner of Beverly and Garrison from 4 stories to 3 stories. They reduced the height of Beverly Road residential building from 4 stories to 3 stories with a 6-foot step back to the 4th story. So it's still 4 stories, but there was a step back created to that 4th story to provide more of a separation on the height from the residential to the building. In addition to that, there were comments raised about having public space. So there was a public space added at the corner of Beverly Garrison of approximately 4,400 square feet. And there was another public space added at the corner of American Legion Drive and Alma Terrace at about 3,350 square feet. So again, that was the second iteration. So then we had a third public meeting, the township, and in working with the zoning subcommittee, and there were various members of the council that have served on that zoning subcommittee over the last 5 years, asked us again to have another public meeting based on the comments that were made to that plan that I just described. So we had that public meeting in March of 2024. And then in August of 2024, the plan was further revised by the developer. We increased the public space on the corner of Beverly and Garrison from that initial 4,400 square feet to 12,000 square feet. And that number wasn't derived out of thin air. The developer met with the farmers market, figured out how much space they needed based on how they set up on a regular basis. And we used that in order to create that space so they can utilize it as they do today at the corner of Beverly and Garrison. And then we also added increased the step back of the building on Beverly Road. So initially I said it was 6 feet. Now that 4th story is 10 feet back. So I just wanted to put that out there because this has been one of the more comprehensive public processes that I think I've been through, that I've seen in Teaneck regarding a redevelopment plan. And the applicant or the developer has really tried, and I think successfully, to enhance and change the plan based on the feedback and the constructive comments that have been received over the last several years. So we're here tonight to present the current version of that plan that is also reflected in your housing plan as and your master plan, as Mr. Ash stated. And I have 3 people that I'm going to call to present, and I'll explain what each one of them is going to be talking about. So the first person I'm going to have present is Michael Lawson from Minowasco. He's our architect. He's going to go through all of the buildings, explain the parking, explain some of the facades that we have, and also describe some of the features of the buildings and the changes that we made so you could see them on the massing. So he's going to do that first. He's also going to show you the type of building that we have, the amenities, and the high-end construction that's proposed. Then we're going to have our civil engineer, James Henry from Dynamic Engineering. We've heard not only from the public, but also from members of council that there's a concern regarding drainage and flooding in this area. We know that the township has its own initiatives, many that they've already implemented that my understanding have been successful in terms of mitigating some of that flooding. However, we were challenged by the municipality, by the zoning subcommittee and several members of the public that live nearby to study this drainage area and come up with solutions that the developer can implement as part of this redevelopment plan. So the redevelopment plan itself requires certain drainage infrastructure and requirements for us for the developer to implement. And I would assume too, that those would also be carried out through any redevelopment agreement and site plan. However, the engineer that we have will describe the ideas that we've worked on and the analysis that we've done in conjunction with your township engineer. And I believe there's a concurrence with your engineer and our engineer on how to deal with those drainage issues. So we're going to describe those. And then finally, our professional planner, Joe Burgess, is going to go through affordable housing compliance and the public benefits that are derived from this project. So unlike a typical site plan approval that you would have at the planning board under typical zoning or a variance that you would go through at the Board of Adjustment, since this is redevelopment, the municipality has asked for many public benefits that I've also described here, but that Mr. Burgess will go through, as well as the affordable housing compliance. I sent over to the clerk the slide presentation that we're going to present so that everybody can see it on the screen, or if they're watching on Zoom. So the first person I'm going to ask to come present, Mr. Mayor, if that's okay, is Mr. Michael Lawson from Minnow Wasco. He's with the architectural firm that's preparing the plans. I'll step aside and I'll let him walk everyone through the elevations and the floor plans that we have proposed for this project. A lot of it is conceptual, but I think you'll have a good idea as to what's being proposed. And this is also reflective of the latest draft redevelopment plan that we've been working on with your council and also your township planner. Okay? All right. So Michael, why don't you come up?
Thank you very much, Jason. And thank you so much for having us here. We really appreciate it. As Jason elaborated, my name is Michael Lawson, and I'm an architect and urban planner and principal at Minnow and Wasco Architects and Planners. And we have extensive experience with these types of redevelopment areas throughout the Northeast, and specifically here in Teaneck and in Bergen County. We've worked very hard to make sure that our buildings fit in with the neighborhoods and the communities that we build. And we hope to bring a fantastic project here with Crossroads Companies. So if we can move on to the next slide, please. So I wanted to put together just an overall aerial of where we are looking in terms of along Cedar Lane, Beverly Road, and American Legion Drive. Just orienting everyone in terms of where we're talking about when we're making the presentation tonight. So I'm going to take you around in kind of a clockwise fashion around the site to orient everybody. So on the top here, we have Beverly Road and Garrison Avenue. And that is where we have Building C and our parking deck lot. Across Cedar Lane, as we go down, we have the existing Stop and Shop lot, which is colored in blue. We have Lot B, which is the furthest south, planned south on the aerial. And then across American Legion Drive, we have Building A lot, which is fronted by Chestnut and Alma Terrace as well. This is a true redevelopment area in terms of the downtown and an infill in using existing areas that have already been developed on the site and can be utilized and create a much more dynamic downtown. A lot of times with these kinds of developments, we're looking to create walking wallets. Those are things that people live downtown. They're able to walk to the downtown businesses that are already existing along Cedar Lane, and really enlivening those areas and enhancing the existing businesses that you already have in your town. Next slide, please. So this is an overall axiometric drawing. And as I said, this is in similar orientation to what I just described, but I'm going to be going over the statistics of the concept plan here. And overall, as Mr. Tavel illustrated, we have proposed for the site 318 units, 48 of which will be affordable. And part of this, we have garage parking, which has 873 spaces. A considerable amount of that will be public parking. We have 61 on-street spaces. Sure. Thank you so much. Correct. Cedar Lane is located right here. You have Beverly here, and then the south part of the site that we were talking about before, where we had built the Lot B, is down here at this side. So as I was saying, we have 61 on-street parking spaces. Those are primarily located along American Legion Drive. We have 12,000 square feet of new commercial space that's located on our Lot C up here. And then we have 15,350 square feet of exterior public space And we'll get into a little bit more about where that's located and what that it includes. As we go around the site, I'm going to start with building A down here. And we're going to talk about the number of stories, the number of residential units on those areas as we kind of go around the site. So as Mr. Vell had stated, this is building A located right here. And that's was reduced from 6 stories to 4 stories now. We have 4 stories here. We do have several step backs on the back side of this building where the parking garage pokes out a little bit further than the residential units above. That allows for more light and air and space between the adjacent properties. There we have 94 residential units with 149 spaces, which is about 1.59 parking spaces per dwelling unit. We have also public space, and we'll get into that a little bit more on the next few slides as well, but that's located along Alma Terrace right here. Building B here is 6 stories, and that density and height is actually pushed closest to the Conrail tracks and is on the existing parking lot of the Stop and Shop. And that has 128 units and 170 parking spaces, which is about 1.33 parking spaces per dwelling unit. We have the existing Stop and Shop, which we are not changing. That building is remaining as is, but we are reconfiguring the parking lot to have 263 surface parking spaces. That has been negotiated with Stop and Shop and is sufficient for their ongoing business. Now, as we go across Cedar Lane, these are all the existing businesses that really activate your Cedar Lane business district. And those are to remain. The building for Lot C is located behind those on the existing surface parking lot. Here on building C, we have a 4-story building, but it does have a 3-story reading along Beverly Road. And as we had talked about, there is a 10-foot step back, which is located on the top floor of 10 feet that really allows for the building massing to be broken up and for us to transition down to the existing neighborhood that is adjacent to us. Over here on this site as well, at the corner of Beverly Road and Garrison, we are proposing the public parking deck, which is located right here. And that garage, including some of the garage space that's underneath the residential building, includes 590 parking spaces. Part of this area here to activate this corner is a 12,000 square foot public plaza space. And as stated previously, this is really meant to be for the farmers market. And we've designed this space to be accommodating of that and to be about the same size as what they have existing today. Part of this also is an activation on the ground floor along Beverly Road. And we are proposing 12,000 square feet of commercial space there. That can be used for a multitude of different uses in terms of commercial space located at the ground level. But one of the main urban planning items here is that it activates Beverly Road and allows for a street frontage that is much more conducive to the downtown area. We can move to the next slide, please. So these are some theme images of what we expect to be bringing the level of design to these buildings and the amenities that we bring to every one of our buildings. One of which being actually a building in Teaneck already, 1500 that we developed with B&E Properties. And you can see that level of luxury and that level of refinement is brought into the residential units as well as to the residential amenities. Residential amenities may include fitness center, they may include a club room, private dining area, those kinds of things that really become mandatory in these kinds of buildings throughout Bergen County. Next slide, please. Not only the interior amenities, but the exterior amenities are very important, especially in a post-COVID world, which we live in now. Outdoor amenity space has become very, very important to these kinds of communities and to the overall neighborhoods that we create. We are proposing several different areas, including courtyard spaces for several of the buildings, as well as above the podiums of the parking areas for some of these buildings. Really making sure that we greenify these podium levels, and in those areas we have a multitude of amenities, including barbecue grilling areas, fire pits, lounge areas, places really that you can enjoy the outdoor spaces. A lot of times there are balconies that overlook those courtyard areas, really making sure that we've created an active and really a great place to live in these kinds of buildings. Next slide, please. So that leads us into the public open spaces that we are proposing. And those really from an urban planning perspective are really important for how we want to enliven and really be a good neighbor for the community at large and in this area, the Cedar Lane redevelopment area. So the first one that I'll talk about is located on our Building A lot. And there we've proposed 3,350 square feet of exterior public open space. And this really could be a multitude of different uses here. We are envisioning that this is going to be a combination of hardscape and green space with benches, lighting, those kinds of things, really creating almost like a parklet along Ulma Terrace. We think that this will really enhance the streetscape located here and really allow for the people of the surrounding neighborhood, as well as the people that we're hoping to live here in these three buildings, an opportunity to really gather and lounge in this park space that we're creating along Ulma Terrace. The second area is the larger area along Garrison Avenue. And along Garrison Avenue, this is going to be the Farmers Market Plaza. And you can see that we've illustrated how within the property line here, you can see that we have been able to accommodate all the number of farmers market stands that exist today into this area as well, really making sure that whatever is existing can actually occur in this plaza space. We envision that this is going to be a hardscape space that can be used for different public events as well. I heard of many of the holiday events that are being planned here in Teaneck. This could be a space that you use for some of those as well. And we really envision this to be an active part of the Cedar Lane redevelopment area as well as your business district. Next slide, please. So that leads us to the concept elevations. And I will preface this with these are preliminary, and these are meant to illustrate what we plan on doing and the style of which the architecture we plan on proposing for all three of these buildings. Each one will be designed uniquely and will reference different pieces. But one of the things that we do on these kinds of redevelopment areas that have multiple buildings is that we want to make sure that each one has its own identity, but they all really merge together. And we go and look at existing architecture from your downtown area, from different areas, and we look to kind of take different pieces from those areas and instill them into the fabric of what we're creating for the new buildings. So you can see here, this is Building C along Beverly Road. So you can see this is the full length of Beverly Road. And then we've broken it up into two pieces here to enlarge so you can see some of the detail. But you can see that for the residential component here, we have that activated area along the streetscape here with large glazing for that commercial area. We will have a lobby space as well located at the center there with some amenity space on that ground floor, really making sure that storefront is activated and has the right amount of presence, eyes on the street that we like to do with urban planning. As you go up the building, you can see that we have 3 stories here, and then we have the step back. The bottom 3 stories here are accented with brick detailing as well as some bay windows and large fenestration, really calling into the type of high quality materials that we use on all of our buildings. As we transition to the top floor, that is stepped back 10 feet, and we transition to a warmer, slightly lighter material to make sure that that kind of floats up at the top of the building. You can see that there's windows, there'll be private terraces at that top floor, so that the residential units up there actually have a great amenity as well. In terms of the parking deck, that we went back and forth with the community and with several of the stakeholders several times in terms of making sure that that parking deck doesn't look like a precast parking deck that you see throughout northern New Jersey. So we are proposing many ways of breaking down that scale in terms of using smaller openings, as well as proposing some brick in different locations, as well as having the entry to the parking deck, which is located right here at the corner, be more of a tower feature that allows people to identify that that's where you go into the public parking deck. And as we said before, that's actually at the Farmers Market Plaza, located right there as well. So that kind of takes us through most of the ideas here that we're proposing for the site. As I said, these are sample elevations of Building C that we hope to keep on refining and keep on enhancing and bring as part of the site plan application back to you, designs for all of the buildings on the site as part of the application. Thank you.
No, thanks, Michael. I just wanted to clarify just 2 points. One is we didn't mention it, but we should have. There will be 1,000 square feet of community space located in the building along Beverly Road that the township can utilize for, local civic events, should it choose to do so. So that'll be on the Beverly Road side in that building. Also, the 12,000 square feet of commercial is not necessarily commercial. What's happening is the Buddhist Center along American Legion Drive is being relocated to that building. In the event that the Buddhist Center chooses not to go there or leaves at a certain point in the future, that will either become an amenity to the building. It could become a gym, it could be a lounge, or it could be parking. It will not be, retail on the ground floor along Beverly. I just wanted to make that clear. And with the Buddhist Center leaving that area, what's happening is a land swap between the owner of the Stop and Shop property, Apollo. They are obtaining that corner piece where the American Legion Drive, Alma Terrace intersection, so that Stop and Shop can enhance their parking area, while Crossroads is receiving the area of the parking lot, the southern end of the Stop and Shop parking lot, to build that other building. So I know that many of you may know this, but in case it wasn't clear, I just wanted to make sure that those items were clear. The next person I plan on calling is our civil engineer. Mr. Mayor, do you want me to bring him up?
Please.
Okay, thank you, Michael. So as I indicated before, obviously there's many aspects to civil engineering that would go through a site plan. But this evening's presentation by Mr. Henry is going to be focused on the drainage improvements that we're planning for the area.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having me here tonight. My name is Jim Henry. I'm from Dynamic Engineering Consultants. We're an engineering firm that was hired by Crossroad Companies to look at the site engineering of the site as well as the drainage that exists on site. We put together this deck to go through a lot of information about the property in general, as well as just kind of the history behind the drainage issues that have existed at the site and adjacent to the site and the nearby roadway network. And I just kind of wanted to go through and provide some of the history behind, what's transpired, what were some of the municipal improvements as far as trying to improve the situation, and then lastly go through what we're proposing to do as far as an improvement to the drainage. So next slide. So as an introduction, so as a general introduction, there were drainage issues which were identified during the tropical storm Ida in 2021. The Township Council and the Township Mayor met with the residents that were impacted during the second week in October 2021 and initiated a drainage study which was prepared by the municipality. The study results and recommendations were shared with the public in April 2022 with the residents and township management. Many of the proposed initiatives were started afterwards. An update was provided in September 2024 by the municipality, and there were several recommendations made. 3 substantial recommendations that were modifying the Bell Avenue and Beverly Road intersection, as there was an abrupt turn in the drainage pipe there, to install approximately a 187,000 gallon detention system in Sagamore Park, and then to construct bioswales at select locations throughout the municipality. Next slide. So the problem, just I'm sure many of the public that's here today is aware of it. There's frequent flooding that occurs in the Bell Avenue area, particularly at the intersections of Beecher Street and Beverly Road. Instances which, I think really were highlighted during the tropical storm Ida in 2021. There was a resident survey that was done by the engineering department, which showed depths exceeding 2 feet in some areas. This area is very large. It spans approximately 175 acres. It has a large drainage area. So this is an area that isn't just isolated to this one neighborhood. There's flood-prone locations, and then also there's an existing stormwater network, which is undersized for the amount of water that goes there today. Next slide. So key contributing factors, there's a flow bottleneck. Significant stormwater is routed through Bell Avenue to the Beverly intersection, but the elevation of Cedar Lane is higher than the lower elevation of that intersection. So there's a topographic issue there. And then it relies primarily on pipes to drain the water from that area. It almost acts as a basin which collects water. So there's minimum pipe slope within the existing pipe network, which has limited capacity. And then there's inefficient geometry where there's some 90-degree turns that kind of reduce the speed of the water, which reduce the efficiency of the overall system. Next slide. So this just goes into the 175 acres of land highlighted on the tax map, and this was taken from the municipality's report, which basically just outlines what area drains. It basically drains from north to south, and what areas contribute to this area, this basin. Next slide. Again, from the 2022 municipal report, this is an area that was, there was a survey done by the municipality asking residents to identify where the most significant flooding occurred during Tropical Storm Ida in 2021. And as you can see, the areas in red were the areas which experienced the deepest flooding, and then areas in orange were 6 inches to 24 inches. Pink was 1 inch to 6 inches, and then green was no basement flooding. So this was a survey conducted by the municipality, and we just clipped it out just to kind of highlight the areas of concern and what we're trying to remedy with proposed improvements. Next slide. Yes, I think in total, our acreage here, it's 175 acres, and we're under 20 acres, so we're not a very significant contributor, and in fact, we're actually going to be reducing impervious coverage on our site. So we're going to be improving the situation from our site individually, but obviously the council tasked us with also doing a public works improvement project where we're going to be looking to do and improve the situation that exists today. So just going over the municipal progress update. The first item was the abrupt bend in Bell Avenue and Beverly Road. There was a 30,000 gallon culvert that was added at that intersection. That was constructed in February 2023 with a cost of approximately $500,000. which improved 5 times the capacity per the design by the municipal engineer. Then there was a detention system that was recently added in Sagamore Park, and that added 187,000 gallons of detention system to detain the water so that the flooding didn't occur within the adjacent roadways. And that was constructed fairly recently. And then there was an overflow system set up that went out to Windsor Road. And then there was bioswales, which is, I believe, is ongoing as far as from a construction standpoint, or you're in the process of constructing those. My understanding is that's being constructed within the next few months. So those are 3 major improvements that the municipality has done to, alleviate the residents' concerns. And we, as part of our analysis, we assumed that all 3 of those are existing conditions. So we didn't take credit for that. We just assumed those are in our analysis. We assume that those are existing conditions that we're looking to improve even more beyond what the municipality did with their improvements. Next slide. So this is just Sagamore Park. This is outlining what was installed, the 187,000 gallons detention system, and just to give you an idea of the scale of the property versus the park. It was very substantial, and just outlining the size of it. Next slide. So this is just an update from Crossroads. So Crossroads has been working on this project for approximately 6 years. Planning design changes. A redevelopment plan has been submitted for council review, a draft redevelopment plan. The township has asked us to research how to basically fix or not improve the stormwater situation at the intersection. And this is above and beyond what's required by state code. So by state code 7 NJAC 7:8, we're reducing impervious. Technically, by code, we're not really required to do any sort of stormwater improvements. So as part of this redevelopment plan, this is going above and beyond, which is what's typically required by the municipal ordinance and also by state code NJAC 7:8. Yes, that's correct. Next slide. So just going over the Crossroads infrastructure update, we had several meetings with the township engineer, as well as multiple conversations to review potential design solutions, also to review their design and their analysis in detail. So what the municipal engineer did was they put together their own analysis, which resulted in the detention system and the other improvements. They provided us with those documents as well as the HydroCAD design so that we could use that for our basis of design. So we used a lot of that information that was provided to us. And we agreed a significant upgrade to the system would be improving the runoff rate approximately 10 to 15% for the 25-year storm event, which will be a significant improvement and help reduce flooding fairly significantly within the area of concern. Alternatively, we also were tasked with potential, if we weren't able to comply with the 10 to 15%, we were asked to reduce the flooding so it was held within the curb line so it didn't flood within the adjacent properties. Next slide. So just outlining what we've done to date. So we did quite a bit of drainage due diligence. Crossroads really engaged us, and we asked for a number of different things from Crossroads, and they agreed to allow us to do quite a thorough analysis of the stormwater system. So what we did was we obtained the CAD files from the municipality. We took all the different documents, the HydroCAD file. We additionally authorized a surveyor to go out and survey the adjacent roadways, adjacent properties in order to determine the elevations of the properties. And then we supplemented that with LiDAR topography, which is really kind of aerial topography, so that we could understand the general topography outside of the area which was surveyed. We then spent time to basically integrate the physical survey that we got along with the LiDAR topography to basically create a base map so we can understand how does this whole area drain into this basin. There was extensive due diligence as far as trying to line them all up and then also line up the municipality's design and making sure that it all flowed correctly. Then what we did was we took the HydroCAD file and we implemented it into HECRAS, which is an Army Corps program. The Army Corps program is primarily used for urban drainage issues like this. and it's more of a 2D model. So we're able to really see the surface runoff in addition to the pipe runoff that was analyzed as part of the municipal study. So this was more of a robust review by taking the survey, the LiDAR topography, and then using HECRAS, which is Army Corps program, to really provide a really comprehensive analysis of the overall system from a surface flooding standpoint, but also analyzing the pipe network as well. So we went through this. We ran a lot of different iterations. Some of these iterations, just so everyone is clear on how complex they are, some of them take 12 to 24 hours to run overnight. This is a very complex program. So we went through a few different iterations and came up with a conceptual design as far as what we believe to be a design that I think would really result in a significant improvement for the residents and meet the requirement which was tasked by us by the municipal engineer. So before we go into the actual the design, we just want to go over a couple different items that we did review, just to kind of next slide, sorry. So a couple items that were discussed along with the board professionals as well as members that were at the preliminary meetings. There were discussions regarding a stormwater pump. The amount of water that basically flows to this area, there's 175 acres of water. The amount of water is very substantial. So if you installed a pump, the pump would be millions of dollars, and also probably would be the size of like a small house. So the feasibility of adding a stormwater pump at this location isn't really practical. Also, the amount of power that it would require is very substantial. And also, when it rains, the power goes out or something like happens, you have to have obviously backup, power backup. Really wasn't a practical solution for us. So we crossed that out as not a feasible option for us. And then as far as detention, after reviewing all the different improvements the municipality did and the significant improvements, there was already a very large detention system that was added to provide additional storage. So that adding additional storage really wouldn't significantly improve the situation and really wouldn't reduce flooding. So as far as a solution, next page, next sheet. We came up with increasing the capacity of the stormwater management pipes, which are underground and within the roadway network. Now, the great part about this is that this is a gravity-based system, so this is not a system that requires power. Our idea is to basically increase capacity within the existing stormwater network. Our analysis shows that the stormwater network was undersized and did not have sufficient capacity even for the 25-year storm, and didn't have sufficient flow to basically drain the area that we're talking about underneath Cedar Lane and then into American Legion Drive. So there's basically two ways to increase the runoff, the capacity of the system. One would be to add a parallel pipe or some other pipe that would basically increase capacity to get the water out of this area. And the other option would be to increase the slope of the existing drainage pipes, that albeit if you can find a way to do it, that's another option, basically increase the speed of the water that's within the existing pipes. Next sheet. So after we ran our analysis, we determined that running a pipe basically parallel to the existing pipe up to the extent of along American Legion all the way on the left-hand side. So this exhibit, basically the north side is on the right-hand side, the south side's on the left-hand side. So this pipe would basically run from Beverly underneath Cedar Lane and then along American Legion to connect back in with the existing stormwater facility. There's already an existing pipe which runs this way. It's approximately 36 inches to 20 to 42 inches. It's reinforced concrete pipe. It's a very large stormwater pipe. And what we found after looking at a few different iterations as far as trying to figure out the most efficient way and the way that would reduce flooding in the most dramatic nature possible, would be to add a parallel pipe area in green of the same size adjacent to it. So there's a small right of way and an easement which goes through in between Beverly Road and Cedar Lane. And so we would run that pipe right through that easement and that right of way, and then go underneath Cedar and then run along American Legion Drive into the existing stormwater structure. So this was the area that we identified, which really was flat, didn't have enough capacity. And this was really the area that we found using the HEC-RAS analysis, which is, as I mentioned, was extremely complex and done by the Army Corps of Engineers. We identified this is really the main problem area, and we're able to significantly increase the capacity of the system by running a parallel pipe as shown. Next sheet. So after discussing it with our attorney as well as our client, we wanted to give an example of how this would improve. Now, obviously, we're not going to be able to improve the situation and eliminate all flooding, but we wanted to give a constructive idea to the public, also to the council, as far as, you know, hey, we see you're going to be adding a pipe, but what does that actually mean for us? So there actually is a published storm, 14ec, a recent storm, which we identify as the Halloween storm in 2025, which resulted in some flooding in the area which we're referencing. So what we did was we pulled that rainfall data, and the rainfall data basically every 15 minutes, it has rainfall data and identifies how much rainfall falls during that period. So we pulled that rainfall data and how it rained during that period of time. And then we ran it through the program, which again took, you know, almost 24 hours to run. And we wanted to give an example of the reduction in area that would result in that amount of flooding. So we put together this graph, which shows on the bottom areas that resulted in over 3 foot of flooding, and then flooding between 3 and 2 feet, 1 foot, half a foot, and then a quarter foot. So you can see in the most extreme cases, the areas that exceeded 3 foot of flooding, those areas would be reduced roughly 87.5%. The actual storm that occurred, the proposed your analysis was measured. Yes, and this also already includes the stormwater pipes and all of that as existing. We took no credit for it. So anything resulting in over 3 feet of flooding was reduced 87.5% from a square footage standpoint. Anything between 2 and 3 feet was reduced 70.7%. Between 3 and 1 foot was reduced 50% from a square footage standpoint. Between 1 and half foot was reduced 39.1, and then between a half foot and a quarter foot was reduced 18.7. So overall, the average inundation area was reduced approximately 53.4%, which based on our results is a very significant change in the flooding of this neighborhood, and a very substantial improvement from what exists today. So in summary, just going over next sheet, sorry. So in summary, I think this is going to be a great solution for the neighbors. This is a major infrastructure project, improving the existing infrastructure that exists today substantially. There will be a 10 to 15% improvement in stormwater capacity over that. There will be a reduction in flooding depth for the immediate areas surrounding Bell Avenue, an increase in runoff capacity for the existing stormwater conveyance system, a reduction in impervious and motor vehicle coverage within our property on site. As I mentioned, we're probably reducing square footage in excess of 10,000 square feet for our site alone. So in addition to that, we're going to be doing the stormwater improvements. We're also going to be adding landscaping and vegetative areas throughout our site, which again will help, seep up the water and reduce flooding. And then we're also in substantial compliance with NJAC 7:8. And we've outlined each of those requirements, which include the stormwater runoff quality requirements, the stormwater runoff quantity requirements, the green infrastructure standards, the groundwater recharge standards, and the Township of Teaneck stormwater management ordinance. So we're in compliance with all of those rules. So in summary, I think this is a great success. I appreciate all of the feedback from the board as well as the board's professionals as far as and helping us along to get to this point. And I think the improvement is going to be very substantial for the neighborhood. Thank you.
All right, the last person that we're gonna have present is Joe Burgess, our planner. As you can see though, with the drainage, we spent a lot of time, investigating these issues and working with the township engineer and coming up with a solution. We didn't just say we're reducing impervious coverage, things are gonna get better. This is a substantial undertaking that the developer would be doing as part of the redevelopment of this area. So, all right, so Mr. Burgess is next. He's our professional planner. I'm sorry.
And then after Mr. Burgess, we do have our township engineer here, so I'm gonna ask him to come
Sure,
up after.
whatever.
But we'll go Mr. Burgess first so they can hear that.
That's fine. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to talk about the issue of affordable housing and how this proposed redevelopment plan will affirm a lot of the goals and objectives of your housing plan and the specifics of how you will be implementing the process. The state of New Jersey is now in its fourth round of affordable housing obligation. It goes from 2025 to 2035. With the fourth round, the state has changed significantly the process. They had created what's called the Affordable Housing Dispute Resolution Program, whereby municipalities could file their plans with the state. The program, consisting of nearly a dozen different judges, worked with what they call special adjudicators, of which I am one, where we assisted the judges in evaluating the housing plans presented. And the benefit of participating in that process is that if you achieve settlement, you would be also achieving protection from any affordable housing litigation over the next 10-year period. While every municipality is obligated to prepare a housing element and fair share plan, you are not obligated to file with what I call the program. In point of fact, 424 municipalities did in fact file with the program. Like Teaneck, many municipalities did receive an objection from two different entities, Fair Share Housing Center and/or developers. Fair Share Housing Center, which is a nonprofit entity who is involved in pursuing construction of affordable housing, filed 400 objections to the 424 plans that were filed. So you were in very good company. In many instances like yours, the objection they filed simply asked initially for some additional information to confirm that you met the requirements of the new regulations. And they also, as was typical of their filing, asked for the ability for the municipality to achieve additional numbers of affordable units if you could. The state had initially determined that Teaneck had a fourth round obligation of 431 dwelling units. The program provides the wherewithal where you can reduce that number if you're a fully developed municipality, and Teaneck obviously is. And it was determined that you had a realistic development potential for 124 affordable units, and your plan provided that amount. Now, what was interesting when your attorney pointed out that the 124 units, this project provides for a total of 48 affordable units, and by virtue of the mechanisms spelled out in the regulations, you can achieve an additional 24 credits for a total of 72 credits towards that 124 unit obligation. That means that this one project will address fully 60% or 59% of your entire housing obligation that you're achieving. That is significant. It is obviously the most significant component of your housing plan. Now, we reviewed the housing plan, we reviewed it against the redevelopment plan and your master plan, and we found that in great measure, all three documents coincide well with each other. Now, when we reviewed the plan, one of the things we were concerned about was how the project does in fact get implemented. In point of fact, you have a series of goals, not only just goals and objectives in the master plan and housing plan that are being affirmed by this application, but the varied regulations set forth in the draft plan appear to all be able to be affirmed by the conceptual plan that the Minnow Wasco firm has put together for you. The redevelopment plan or the draft plan provides for a series of area and bulk requirements. It appears all of those will be met by this design. It is consistent with all the use provisions spelled out in the plan. And in addition to that, all the design standards will also be affirmed by this plan. The most significant thing for you and for the public is that you're not alone in this process. I know it going around the state as an adjudicator, and we have also filed 43 housing plans, which I believe is the most any single firm had filed with the program. What we find going around the state is everybody thinks that they're the ones being put upon. And that simply is not the case. The bottom line is that you are entitled to a vacant land adjustment. You are addressing that portion of the obligation that you can address. And that's all to the good, because for anyone who's had children trying to buy housing today, there is clearly an affordable housing problem throughout the state of New Jersey, if not country as a whole. In the town I live in, we just built a 100%, 110 unit affordable housing development, 110 units. We had over 3,000 applicants for those 110 units to show you the need that exists today. And that ratio seems to be being duplicated all over the place. And part of the issue of affordable housing need, and I know I'm of a certain age, but when I bought my first house, I checked the standards, and in that year, 29% of all first-time buyers were age 29 on average. This past year, for the first time ever, we hit, for first-time buyers, the average age was 40. Yeah, that's really a stunning statistic. So all to the good in terms of, what the municipality is achieving with this redevelopment plan and your housing plan, I think is all to the good. Now, what's interesting about the way TNIC is going about this process, you utilize the local redevelopment and housing law to achieve this redevelopment plan. And as I think Jason had mentioned in his introductory comments, one of the benefits of utilizing this approach is that you're able to gain a lot of benefits that you normally would not be able to gain through what I'll call the normal site plan review process. For example, you heard all the drainage improvements that are off track to this site that are going to be achieved by virtue of this application. All of the enhanced stormwater management techniques that go along with that drainage, those drainage improvements will also be part of this enhanced plan. There is the public open space provisions that is also being provided as part of this component. In addition to that, there's a public parking garage. It's still being refined, but it'll be about 450 parking spaces serving the public. And in addition to that, there are some on-street parking spaces that are also being provided as part of this plan. I don't want to belabor the point, but in conclusion, I could point out that, you will be, in all likelihood, achieving, I'm not sure that you have yet settled formally with the program, but reading your plan, it looks like you will be able to achieve settlement and therefore protection from exclusionary lawsuits over the next 10-year period. And there's all those other benefits that I had just mentioned. And beyond that, your recent 2025 land use plan also identifies a series of goals and objectives that highlight how this particular project will achieve, enhanced expenditures in your business district, the drainage improvements, and the other things that I've already mentioned, and simply don't want to belabor because I know you have a busy agenda.
Thank you very much, man.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm going to turn over to our municipal engineers.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, so, yeah, we reviewed the concept, and we agree with the overall approach. And I hope that we don't run into utility conflict. So that's my.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Cavell, you're done. We're moving on. Do you want to close up? Well, let's say, I'm going to ask Mr. Ash, if you want to do questions now, what would you like? I know we're not taking any action tonight, which is what we told the public, and we will not, but what do you recommend we?
Sure. So tonight was a presentation from the professionals that you just heard. The next steps would be an introduction of an ordinance to adopt the redevelopment plan. Just like any zoning ordinance, that means you are referring the ordinance, the redevelopment plan, to the planning board for consistency review, so that the planning board can make a finding that the redevelopment plan is not inconsistent with the master plan. It will then come back to the council, where you'll have a public hearing on adoption or second reading of the ordinance. And that public hearing, like every ordinance, there's a specific public comment period just on that ordinance and this redevelopment plan. That's next year. So tonight, if there's anyone on the dais with questions, Mr. Tuvell will be happy to answer them.
Mayor Katz?
Reasons that we embarked on this project was initially to try to save the supermarket. I mean, I guess there's several reasons. But for me, it was about saving Cedar Lane. We had a developer in here that put together the most beautiful project. It was by the Rain building now with the parking lot. And the question we asked him was, okay, but where's your parking? And he was scratching his head. And we realized that in order for anyone to come and beautify, enhance, or upgrade Cedar Lane from what it's been looking like since 1930 something, you need parking. You know, even though there's Uber and all that other stuff, people still have cars. So I just had a question about the parking aspect of this, because I saw you reduce the parking from 979 to 943, but then you also mentioned that there's 450 parking spots. But how many parking spots are actually being allocated for the merchants or for the shoppers so that they can shop on Cedar Lane? And
wanna
then the
address
other question I have is, we're giving, this is a public-private partnership, we're giving our parking lots to you. So how many are we going from and how many are we going to? Okay, that would be good.
Okay, so there's a minimum of 450 spaces to go to the public. And then there's also a number that could be shared as well. And also the settlement agreement with Stop and Shop requires a certain ratio of parking based on the residential that's provided. But there would be a minimum of 450 public spaces in that garage.
Right, but
I believe the answer is 370 or so spots, the current inventory that we have. I could be wrong. I'm not sure if our engineers know offhand, but there is, you know, you mentioned one thing you requested going back 6 years ago was not a reduction in spots, but an increase in spots.
right,
So I believe is about 360. I know we're shaking heads over there, about 360 current, and we are increasing it. I do know that you wanted about 100 spots increase. We're about 80 to 100 on the increase in spots.
Yeah, and there's also, like I said, an ability to share more, but
Right.
that's correct. That was
When
actually.
you say an ability to share more, is that meaning, because I'm sure there's a requirement for a certain amount of parking spots. What is that requirement for a certain amount of meaning how many can you share? Because I would like to see more parking
Okay,
on
well,
both sides.
we can get you what that number is based
Okay.
on, we have to have the residential component comply, and then whatever the balance is, we could talk about sharing
Okay,
those.
I just
additional-
want to be clear.
That-
I love the concept. First of all, I love the concept that people want to put money into TNEC. All right. You know, residents take that for granted. Not everybody wants to do that. Right. And I'm fully supportive of enhancing, and beautifying this area. And while I understand that there's neighbors, and I know that you've worked very hard with the neighbors, some people unfortunately will never be happy, but they certainly don't want additional flooding because in that area there is a flooding area. So I'm glad that you did focus a lot of tonight on the flooding aspects. But like all the other beautiful projects in town, you know, people were fighting and complaining about 1500 Teaneck Road, an abandoned Verizon building with broken windows, boarded up, graffiti, fire inside. It was actually didn't enhance that area. It did not enhance that area, but people were against doing anything there. And now it's helping that area.
What I would say, just by way of example, and I guess because the drainage aspect of this was sort of the latest
Yeah, I
item.
understand.
No, I just wanted to say, and I'm not excluding everybody, because everybody on this council challenged us to do something. And your initial discussion that we had it when you were on the zoning subcommittee.
Nothing's changed. All I
was
want
the
to see is
parking.
more parking.
No, I'm saying that was actually one of the initial driving factors in the design was when you raised that at the zoning subcommittee almost 5 years ago, probably.
Right.
So the goal was, I think the concern was we're taking that lot on American Legion Drive in Alma Terrace, which is a public lot, removing those spaces. And the goal was to replace those spaces and add more for the merchants on Cedar Lane so that they would have more parking. And I believe we've achieved that. I probably didn't focus on that as much because that was, so we did that so long ago, but that was one of the objectives that the township had originally.
So just to be clear, so there's no miscommunication,
Sure.
I'm keeping a consistent
Yes.
message. I'm very supportive of this project. I like the idea that someone wants to come and write a check and put money into Cedar Lane. But I do want to see more parking allocated by the time I
Okay.
have to vote on it.
So we'll make sure that those numbers are given to your professionals, but just
Okay.
what,
So if you can find more parking, you should be finding more.
yeah, no, I'm just giving you the numbers now. So
Okay.
there's 590 spaces in that Beverly Road garage. 96 need to be provided to the residents based on the ratio that is required in the redevelopment plan, which leaves 494 open to the public. So again,
On the north side.
correct.
But what about on the other side?
That's all the public parking would be in that garage on the north side.
And the street parking, how much is it? 36 spots on the street, if I'm correct?
Correct. So,
On the south side.
right. So, right. So one of Stop and Shop's requirements was to put parking on the street. So the township agreed to this as well, where there's going to be at least 36 parking spaces added along Alma Terrace and American Legion Drive that will be free public spaces as well.
Okay, I just don't want you to feel that I'm surprising in any way. I want to see more parking. That's my position. So if there's more spots that can be found, that's what I need.
Okay.
By when you're asking me for my vote.
Mayor Pagan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for that presentation. I know how hard you guys have been working on this for a number of years. I have two questions, and I think the first question already came up in the last zoning subcommittee meeting that I watched on YouTube, and I forget which council member asked, but there are 2 or 3 single-family homes in the parking lot along Beverly Road between the Korean church and where the current farmers market is, and I know you guys have been struggling to get in touch with those residents. Have you had any recent success in getting in touch with them to talk to them about this project?
Yeah, I can have Mr. Volpe speak to that because he would be the one that.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having us tonight. Anthony Volpe, I'm a partner with Crossroads Companies. Councilman Pagan, to answer your question, we did reach out to some of those homeowners. This is quite a while ago at this point. I think we were ultimately unsuccessful. I think I spoke with one of them who she really just wanted to voice some feedback and concerns, but it wasn't really a discussion about acquiring her home. It was just a conversation about what we're proposing, and I kind of heard her out, and that was it. The other homeowners we were not able to get in contact with.
Okay, cool. And second question. So Stop and Shop announced 2 store closures just this past week in Toms River and Clinton. Have you guys been staying in constant contact with them just to make sure everything's copacetic with them?
I speak to their attorney, who's also watching this video or watching tonight on a weekly basis, as they have been intimately involved in the redevelopment plan. We've shared drafts with them. They've been on the phone with Mr. Ash and the professionals. They've been intimately engaged in the redevelopment plan process for purposes of their property as well. If you look at the redevelopment plan, it actually addresses the certain supermarket and commercial uses for them as well. So they've been completely engaged in this process as well to their benefit.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and also to that point, part of the planning exercise here on American Legion Drive has been to directly benefit Stop and Shop, to create more openness between the existing store and the downtown. To propose the land swap where you have the buildings right now that kind of shield the Stop and Shop from the downtown. To open that up for the store's benefit, along with changing some of the parking arrangements so that they have an excess of parking that are the most convenient and available to their customers. So part of this whole project, they're an active partner with Crossroads, who have contemplated a land swap, which is memorialized in the settlement agreement, and all of that is affirmative planning for the future investment of the Stop and Shop store.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Mayor, can Mr. Volpe, no, sorry, we'll answer every question.
Sure.
But Mr. Volpe just wanted to ask, just to address Council Pat's question real quick.
Just going back to the parking for a minute. So as indicated in the presentation, I think we started around 973 total parking spaces throughout the entire 3-building project. Over the course of the community meetings and the feedback in the zoning subcommittees, one of the big concerns was the building heights, primarily that freestanding garage at the corner of Beverly and Garrison. So in order to address those concerns, we started to reduce building heights. And that garage, as you heard, was reduced. I can't remember if it was originally 5 or 4 stories, but it was reduced by at least 1 level, if not 2 levels. So that is the main driving factor as why the total parking count was reduced. Where it currently stands today, that garage, as Mr. Duval said, has 590 spaces. The draft redevelopment plan has a 1-to-1 ratio proposed for our residents. So that would leave 494 parking spaces open to the public, which is more than 100 spaces, more than you have today in the surface lots. That being said, there also could be a component of a shared parking arrangement between our 100 residential spaces in that building and the public. And I think the town would want to hire its own parking consultant to analyze that. But typically the way that works is our residents go to work in the morning, and at any given time, 20, 30, 40% of the residents are not home, and people who are shopping briefly in the area could use those spaces while they're not there.
So I just want to personally thank you for your willingness to put money into TNEC. It's really appreciated. Like I said, a lot of people take it for granted. They all want the magic wand and wish they could only have a single story, but yet developers have to make money also in order for them to make an investment into our town. But it's also in your best interest, as retail is struggling today. I went to a mall last night, it was right before the holiday season. Place was empty. It's in your best interest to make sure that Cedar Lane is, especially since you're putting so much money there, is successful. And it's only going to be successful if you, give more parking and give other people the opportunities to be able to enhance their properties there. So it's in both of our best interests to see Cedar Lane successful.
We agree
So that's all I'm
100%.
asking is to get creative and try to say, oh, listen, I heard the request. Here's more parking. If you can share the spot, here's a spot, whatever it is.
Understood.
That's all I ask. And I do thank you sincerely for your investment.
Deputy Mayor.
Okay, I just have a couple quick questions. Understanding that the township has devoted a good amount of time in terms of surveying for flooding, rightfully so, because we know we have issues there. Can you discuss the number of impact studies, if any, that the developer has done thus far?
On the drainage?
Beyond drainage, in any impact studies, traffic, in anything at all?
Sure. So we've done 2 traffic studies that are required by the settlement agreement. Actually, just a traffic study is done, but the applicant has actually done 2 of them. We've actually shared that with Stop and Shop. That is required. Again, they're fully involved in this process. They have the rights to review everything, and they have been reviewing things and providing comments. So I just want that to be clear. They've provided some comments to us on the traffic study that we did. They wanted some more information, some clarifications. We're responding to that. And then the goal was, once we've responded to that, which we believe we can, then we're going to provide that to the municipality. And then you can obviously have your own consultant independently review it and see if you concur with the findings or have other comments or questions that we can respond to. And that would be part of a redevelopment agreement or a site plan process. But that is also a requirement and something that we have worked on as well.
Okay, okay. So outside of traffic, that's mainly it for the most part. The other question I had is your witness, and I forgot the
We have
gentleman's
to
name.
call presenter because we're not.
Yeah.
'Cause we're not doing
presenters. You're
planning or
not- you're not-
zoning.
Yeah, you're not
That's okay.
witnesses, but on affordable housing, the presenter who presented on affordable housing, truthfully spoke about, the critical nature of
Sure.
of affordability. The average age of a first-time home buyer is 40 years old, which is outrageous. How does this particular development solve for home ownership?
I can have Mr. Burke, do you want to come back up?
I mean, I would add to that question to say that clearly it's a rental.
Yes.
And we've had this discussion before about, the only option that this offers our residents is to rent an apartment. So was there any, in light of your, discussion, was there ever any type of discussion about resales, making these condos or anything like that?
I don't know if-
No, but in addition to the issue of affordability, when you look at the average rents that are occurring around Bergen County in particular, I know down in Edgewater, new construction is going for $5,000 a month, which is, and sometimes $6,000 a month. Even in Park Ridge, in the James, it's $6,000 a month. So the fact that these 48 units will be deed restricted for income qualified, low and moderate income households will go a long way towards at least addressing some segment of that population that is in need.
Okay. And my other question is, in light of what Councilman Katz has said about, we all want to see the prosperity of Cedar Lane. How do we address the rehab of our our retail stores along Cedar Lane in light of this? I mean, we're going to have wonderful parking. Apparently this plan speaks to that. But what is it, and apartments, but what does it mean when it comes to people that live there having a vibrant Cedar Lane?
Well, there's two or three things that I could offer. One, I know your consultants, they do a lot of central business district plans, just as we have over the years. And you should really bring them in to do a detailed central business district study to figure out exactly the kind of rehabilitation of existing buildings that needs to be done to ensure you've got the proper pedestrian amenities and landscape amenities and to beautify the area. The fact that we're bringing in 318 families, 85% of which are market rate households, that represents a significant expenditure for retail trade goods. So you've got the proximity in your favor of where they live compared to the central business district. And what you need to do is start to beautify the downtown to make it even more attractive for them to walk down the street and shop.
Thank you. And the final question, I think, is to you, Mr. Tavell. Are we 20% set aside for affordable housing on this, as we had talked before?
No, this has always been at 15%. And then with the bonus credits, you get, you go from 48 to 72, which makes up, I think, as Mr. Burgess indicated and Mr. Ash indicated, about 59% of what you're required to do in your plan out of that 124.5. Yeah.
Thanks. A couple of questions. Is this on? Yeah.
Sure.
First on the parking, have you given thought to accessibility? So while we're getting a lot of parking spots with the new building, it may be more difficult for folks with accessibility issues to, get from a parking garage on the north side of Cedar Lane back to where all the shops are. So that's the first question, and I'll wait you to answer in the last second.
When you say accessibility, you mean, Councilwoman, just ensuring that there's ADA, proper ADA parking stalls,
Not-
and also ADA sidewalks, ramps, things of that nature. Is that what you're asking?
That, as well as like we have a growing senior population who may not want to walk that far to their cars. And so, and they're accustomed to being on the parking lot on the first level, you know, near Cedar Lane. So my question is, have you thought
So
about
as to the residential component or as to the public parking? Because there would be
the
ADA
public
access.
parking?
There would be ADA access for both. So there are regulations that govern all those items. So we'd have to comply with those. And then there's also obviously the EV, we'll have electric vehicle charging stations as well pursuant to that law also.
Yeah, of course. But I guess my point is that there'd be having parking lots at the ground level is likely to provide much more accessible parking than
Yes.
a parking garage. Okay, so
Well,
the
that,
second,
that can also depend. They're trade-offs, right? So if you have an outdoor exposed to the elements surface parking lot, you know, during the winter, that may be a bigger hazard than being able to park in a enclosed structured deck.
Fair.
The structured deck for both the public and private space will be fully ADA compliant. And it's much easier to have, say, van accessible spaces in your downtown. I don't know if your downtown currently has van accessible spaces, but they can be, you know, they're put in the best locations in a new structured parking lot that allows for additional access beyond accessible parking in your existing downtown where there's parallel parking and various conditions at the curb itself. And
Yeah.
maybe the
Yeah,
architect
and
wants.
Councilwoman, I was gonna say, shouldn't have the lawyers sometimes answer some of these questions. Why don't we have the expert, the architect
Sure.
address it so that you get a better answer?
sure.
I do agree with most of what they said, if not all of what they said. But one of the other things that's important here is that there will be an elevator to be able, and it will be public elevator that will access every single floor. So even if all of the handicap spaces are filled, and you have to go up through the deck to get to a parking space, you'll be able to have an accessible route that will be of the same kind of distance if you were to park on a surface lot and have to walk that pace as well. So you'd be walking that same way, but you'd be walking it and then getting into an elevator, going down, descending down, and then exiting on the ground floor and walking now on a vibrant, you know, plaza space and activated plaza space to Cedar Lane along Garrison. So it does allow for a better accessible route and allows for all of those areas to be accessible for anyone who needs it.
All right, thank you. My second question is around community partnership. So I'm sure you're aware there's a school, the charter school is right around the corner from that area. Never Alone Again Resource Center is right across the street. You've got the Rhoda Center with seniors. What community partnerships did you have in mind to help pull the community in?
Yeah, so that was in the zoning subcommittee meetings that we had. Councilwoman Goldberg asked for space within the building to be dedicated for those types of purposes. I mean, she could speak to it, but the goal was to have space, and it's actually written into the redevelopment plan, that would be dedicated to the township would basically have utilization of it. So the town could use it for whatever it wants. So I'm just making this up. You wanted a Little League meeting there. You wanted a Boy Scouts meeting there. You wanted, you know, something along those lines to occur there. The township would have access to this space as a community space so that that could be utilized by various charity organizations, municipal organizations, and things like that.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a bunch of questions, but can I start with the easy one for Mike? Can you talk about the appraisal and the conveyance of property for all of us in the public and what the settlement agreement says versus what law says and what we're doing with the redevelopment agreement for this when we vote on this?
Can you repeat that loud, please?
Sorry, the appraisal of the property that, you know, the township property and what the timeline is, because the settlement agreement, and I'm going to let the lawyer speak, I believe says that upon voting on this, we're conveying the land, but I know you said that that's not entirely accurate. So can you just explain that to us and the public, please?
Sure. This redevelopment plan, the elements that were presented this evening, it's zoning for the project. There will be additional financial due diligence and consideration that is an important part of this whole approval process. But that would be the next phase when a redevelopment agreement is negotiated and a financial agreement is negotiated. And conceptually, we're talking about conveying a very significant municipal asset to a private developer, your surface parking lots. There is a market value of that real estate. We're going to need to find out what that is. And it's going to need to be evaluated in the context of what you're getting in return. One of the most tangible pieces of consideration, what you're getting in return for conveying that real estate, is a structured parking deck. I could tell you the cost of structured parking today is between $40,000 and $45,000 per parking space. So that financial analysis will be done. It's not part of the redevelopment plan phase now because we're just talking about zoning now. But it will be done as part of the redevelopment agreement. And before that is approved, you will understand financially what you're giving and what you're getting.
So when we vote on this, nothing is being conveyed until that point.
Correct.
Okay, can I go to the Buddha Center questions?
Is it a question for me, or do we need the peanut gallery?
Go to Jay Tuval.
Sure. I'll try to answer.
Okay, so a lot of this really hinges on the beginning of this hinges on the Buddha Center. So the phasing requires that Buddha Center is part of phase 1. So my first question is, when does their lease actually end?
Oh, so Anthony, that would be a better question for Anthony.
So the Buddha Center just renewed their lease for the last 5-year period that they have under their current lease. But just a point of clarification, phase 1, to begin phase 1 does not rely on the Buddha Center moving or not moving. So what we would do is we would build phase 1, and if the Buddha Center would like, we would build that space we discussed so that they could relocate into that space once that building is complete. Then phases 2 and 3 would be built south of Cedar Lane, where the Buddha Center, currently is after the land swap and all of that occurs. So realistically speaking, we still have quite a bit of work ahead of us just on approvals. And then you have a minimum 2-year construction period after that. So we're talking about 3 years down the road to begin with, when they have about 2 years left on their lease. And then we've given them the option to relocate early if they like, or if they would not like to do that, they can stay until their lease is expired and make other plans basically.
And if I remember this, and I guess the attorneys and maybe Mayor Schwartz and Deputy Mayor Katz can attest, they were there. If I recall, wasn't Stop and Shop really that was the big concern because it's affecting their parking, so that's why they wanted it in phase 1. Am I missing that? Is that not right? Isn't it supposed to be the garage and then the Buddha Center?
Right. The garage is phase 1. That's right. The Buddha Center is a tenant in a privately owned building. And as Mr. Volpe just described, there are terms and there's a negotiation between landlord and tenant. So, they will be fairly dealt with by their landlord. The landlord is already, has plans with the tenant's agreement to either, end that lease or relocate them, in another place, another form. It's very Buddhist.
So on the parking with the Buddha Center, so if they move to building C, then they are sharing that garage. Is there a number of dedicated spaces that they have? And I know there was a whole thing about events and everything with them. I mean, Stop and Shop went a little nuts with them on their events, if I guess you guys remember that. So if they do move to building C, they're sharing that public garage. How many spaces will be allocated to them specifically?
So if they choose to relocate to new space, they would get the same amount of spaces they currently have today, which is approximately 39, I believe. And then in terms of Stop and Shop, what I can say is to Jason's point earlier, Stop and Shop has been very much involved in all of our discussions and drafting of documents, and they're aware of the plans or with the Buddha Center and the parking and all of that. So they've,
And that's factored into what Deputy Mayor Katz was asking about with the parking for us with the so 39, if they're in Building C, they're sharing that. But then if they don't decide to go, that space becomes parking for Building C residents? And how is that figured in the plan?
we can, so that space would just be, the space you see on the plan today, that's a 12,000 square foot box, that would just be eliminated, and we can turn it into more parking, or we can turn it into common area space for the building.
So there's not a specific.
It's flexible. It's
Got
yeah.
it.
Yeah, so no one wanted retail on that right over there. So right across from the residential in that spot. So obviously we wanted to have a placeholder for the Buddhist Center if they chose to relocate. And then in discussing this with Stop and Shop and with the township, if the Buddhist Center decided not to move or to leave at some point, the conversion wouldn't be to a private business. It would just be, could be a lounge or gym space for the tenants in the building. Or as Anthony indicated, it could be just parking because it's a decent amount of space. You could get some extra parking space.
And would that affect the rest of the plan at all or no?
No,
Okay.
it would just be in that box that already exists.
Okay, so I'm gonna move to parking garage question.
Sure.
So the full parking garage, so the responsibility to maintain it is the township's? Or is it shared?
Go ahead.
Yes, the layout of the garage will allow for separation between the public side, which is the majority of it, and the portion of parking that services the private residences and the perhaps Buddha Center. There will be, a control device that separates the private from public. The maintenance will be a public obligation that'll be offset by parking revenue. So there will be an operating budget for that parking garage.
Do we know what that roughly is? And then I have a follow-up on that. So because they're connected, if there's structural damage to it, does it matter whose side it is, or are we responsible for the structural damage?
As part of what I would imagine is part of the redevelopment agreement that Michael was indicating earlier, there would likely be an exhibit called a garage agreement where there's the obligations and requirements set forth for the municipal aspect of it and the private aspect of it would be set forth clearly. And then if there was any, which I guess what you're getting at is any common space or anything like that, that would require
Damage or liability?
yeah. So all of those issues would be spelled out in some sort of garage agreement between the parties.
Okay, well,
Okay,
can I move to drainage real
go to-
quick?
yes.
I have drainage,
Go to
I have
drain.
drainage questions. All right, drainage questions.
Jim.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so you mentioned, and the current plan says, keeping flooding to the curb line. How do you measure flooding to the curb line?
So as part of the analysis, we determine how much flooding depth occurs, given the stormwater improvements. So the analysis that was originally done, the municipal study was a 1D model and the HECRAS study is a 2D model. So we're actually able to show how much flooding actually occurs in each street at each intersection, with the proposed improvement. So to answer that, typically a curb is 6 inches high. So, reducing it below the 6 inches.
Okay, is the current flooding plan risking pushing any of the flooding to any other areas of town? I know there was concern about pushing it to south of Cedar. Is that still a possibility or is that mitigated?
So the analysis is discharging, the water gets discharged into the Conrail. There's a large swale which occurs.
Like a visual
My-
person. It's
I-
hard for, no, I'm a visual person. It's hard for me to.
Oh, sorry. I could probably bring up an aerial.
Okay, yeah, you can see it after,
Yeah.
but if you can just explain that, I just want to make sure that we're mitigating that issue because that was discussed in January.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So we're just to clarify, we're not increasing the size of the pipe, which discharges into the Conrail. So there's already a pipe there. The problem is that the pipe, the stormwater doesn't get to that area fast enough. So it's not like we're increasing the amount of flow that can go to the Conrail system. It's just we're allowing the water to get there.
But are we pushing the flooding to another set of neighbors?
No, we're moving it into the
We're not.
Conrail, the
Okay.
Conrail system.
I know you said that you compared you looked at the storm on the 30th. Are you able to compare it to Ida? I mean, on the 30th, there was already Sagamore detention tanks. So it's kind of, I just want to get a sense. I mean, you know, the bigger concern is these big storms, you know, like Ida. Is that something that you looked at?
So we didn't look at it because in our conversations with the team here, the engineer, planner, obviously like the more significant storms, like this is a structural problem. Cedar is much higher than the area. So the amount of water that occurs during a 100-year, a 500-year storm, this is going to be, you know, our job, what we were tasked was to reduce flooding for the 25-year storm. And what we wanted to do was to reduce the amount of flooding that occurs maybe 1 to 5 years and reduce the amount of time that it does occur, that you have to move your car or you have flooding occur. Now, for these larger storms, there is going to be an improvement, but the improvements, you know, we can only install a pipe so large. The amount of water that we're talking about is 175 acres. So there is not a tremendous amount you can do for that. But what we're looking to do is have a substantial improvement for some of those smaller storms so that you don't have to move your car, so that you don't have to go out there and find out, you know, your basement's flooded or whatever on a regular basis, whereas this occurs less frequently for these smaller storms, and that's what we were tasked with. Sure. So the discharge. Try to. So the discharge would be just to the south here. There's a discharge out to the Conrail system. So it'll be American Legion, and then head to the east. There's a discharge pipe which discharges out to Conrail, south along American Legion. So the water would go from Beverly Hill. There would be a pipe which routes right adjacent to the gas station. So right adjacent to the gas station right here. Come through American Legion Drive, come all the way down, and then there's an existing discharge area to the Conrail.
My last question on this, I don't know if anyone has a follow-up on that. I know this was asked at the January meeting, and I think it's something that would be very important to me. Are you willing to commit to funding for the hydraulic study before we enter into a future agreement, you know, to make sure that this is going to really do as much as we can? I know that was asked by Chris Brown at the January meeting.
So the analysis that we completed was done. We completed within the last week or two. So that's what I testified, or I not testified to, excuse me.
We can get a copy of it to review, or
We already provided it to your municipal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can
It's
we-
already been paid for. And
all right, beautiful.
Yep.
I'll let
we're gonna
Denise
just-
go, and then I have a traffic question, and then I'm done.
Yeah, I just
Traffic,
have-
and then I'm done.
Yeah, I just have one follow-up question
Sure.
to the improvement. You're talking about the smaller storms, the 1 to 5 year storms as opposed to the 50 to 100-year storms.
Right.
Your summary slide, did I understand that first line that said you anticipate a 10 to 15% improvement for flooding
For the 25-year storm.
for the 25-year storm?
Right. But for smaller storms, you'll see dramatic improvements. So for a 1-year storm, I think we showed a 50% improvement for a 1-year storm. When you get up to a 25-year storm, as the storms gets larger, the percentage gets lower because the impact isn't as substantial. But what we're trying to do is obviously propose a significant improvement to the community as best we can. You know, improve the capacity of the pipe that it will function and help improve and reduce the amount of flooding that occurs on a regular basis at the centers. And there's hundreds.
Right, and you're hitting utility, right? Then you risk hitting utility, if I remember
Yeah,
that.
and we've spoken to our client about that, and they're, you know, that's something when we get into the engineering design, when we put together plans, that's what the hurdle that we're gonna have to.
Can I ask a traffic question, and then I'm done?
Sure.
So I know that at the meeting, I know the neighbors asked for an independent traffic study. Has that been done? They asked specifically for an independent one, so that's what I'm asking.
Well,
if it's been done.
obviously we wouldn't do the independent one.
Right, but
So what I said before, I think, Deputy Mayor Belcher asked the question. Sorry, there's so many questions. She asked if other studies were done in addition to the drainage. So I mentioned, we've done 2 traffic studies, okay? Dynamic Traffic, Jim's firm, the traffic group, doing the last one. We provided that to Stop and Shop as required under the agreement. They have their own. So this is going to be a 3rd traffic firm reviewing it. They've provided comments that they want us to respond to. We're working with them on that. Then we will send that final report to the municipality, and then the municipality will commission an independent reviewer of that study. And then obviously if there's comments or questions, we will respond to those.
and did any of the studies have any degradation in the level of service for any of the intersections that were at risk?
There was no sort of, I don't want to speak as a traffic engineer, Councilwoman, but the way that we looked at it, there would be no significant impact on traffic in the area.
Let's,
I think my questions are done. I got through
But
3 of them.
like I spoke,
I'm
but
good on
like I
questions
said,
for now.
the township's own traffic consultant, we're more than confident will concur with the findings in the report, but you'll be able to.
Didn't we said Colliers, if I remember? No,
we don't have
there was at that meeting that we agree. I don't know, but I'm done with my
Okay,
questions.
whoever you.
Thank you very much. Mike, let's wrap this up the next 30 seconds and start the rest of the meeting. Good, you're good?
I'm good.
Good, excellent.
Everyone else is good.
Okay, guys, okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.
Oh, did I miss you? Okay, so go. I'm sorry, I thought I got everyone. I apologize.
No, I just want to add something because quickly, you said that we all presented our challenges to you and gave you our challenges, and flooding has been mine from day one, from the meeting that we first had here 5 years ago, where everybody came and spoke with Dina and everybody that's been working with Jackie. We have done almost as much as we can do. We put the box culvert in and then we held our breath to see if it was going to flood. And then we put the detention tanks in the park and we held our breath. And in tonight's packet, we're actually the bioswales. We're going to vote on the resolution for the bioswales. But it doesn't seem, short of this, like there is a really big solution that's going to take the water and kick it out of that neighborhood someplace else. I went through all the steps with Chris and with the engineers, suggesting the tank and suggesting the pumps and seeing what would work and what wouldn't work. And it seems like by putting the parallel pipe there to carry the water, and that's a huge, huge cost to a developer, to send it as much as is going out now, to send it at the same time back out the same way, can only help what's in the area. And that study, what we saw, the chart, which I hope everybody focused on, that's huge. That is a lot of water being taken out of that neighborhood and being placed someplace else quickly. And I don't know, other than that, what other solutions we have in our pockets to take care of that. And I just want all the neighbors to keep that in mind. There's a trade-off with everything that's going on with that project, this project, but that's a big one.
Yes, and that proposal of dealing with that drainage and adding the extra capacity with the parallel line, that is all an off-site improvement. That's not what this project would require for stormwater and drainage infrastructure. It's to benefit the neighborhood, and it's a public benefit that's part of the entire redevelopment package.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so let's hit the work session items. Miscellaneous. Thank you very much for the to the presenters. Miscellaneous.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I wanted to nominate Deputy Mayor Belcher to Class 3 as representative of the Planning Board.
Okay, are we doing this on a new business
Second.
under miscellaneous? Okay,
Yep. And then I wanted to make a few more, but I wanted to do that one first.
okay.
I also wanted to nominate Alan Stone to move up to a full seat on the Planning Board.
Second.
And then for Board of Adjustment, Harvey Rosen to renominate. And then I wanted to move up Michael Klatsky as a full member and move up Ilyas Muyez as alternate number 1.
Second.
And that's it.
So let's wait for clerk to.
Okay, sure.
Vice President.
Deputy Mayor Belcher to Class 3 on Planning Board. What was the next one?
Alan Stone as a full seat on the planning board. And then renominate Harvey Rosen, move up Michael Klatsky to a full seat, and
Now, what was Harvey Rosen?
just a renomination, keep a seat. And Ilyas Muyaz would be moving up.
Hang on one sec.
Sorry.
Hang on 1 second, Council.
Loud.
Hang on one
That's it,
second.
just four.
Just, I want the room to clear out so I could hear you. If anyone else is leaving? No? Ron, can you shut that door for me, please? Thank you.
Okay, so it's Deputy Mayor Belcher for Class 3. Alan Stone for a full seat on the planning board. Harvey Rosen renominate for his full seat, move up Michael Klatsky for the full seat, and move up, I'm sorry if I say his name wrong, Ilyas Muyaz to alternate number 1 on the Board of Adjustment. That's it.
So Deputy Mayor Belcher, Class 3 on Planning Board, Alan Stone to full seat on Planning Board, renominate Harvey Rosen to full seat on Board of Adjustment.
Yeah.
Michael Klatsky to full member on Board of Adjustment. Ilyas Muyaz
So
to,
alternate number 1, and that's
Are
all.
we taking?
Wait,
And we're going to take more in a second. Hold on one second.
sorry, you said, I'm trying to catch this too.
Yes.
All I did.
And I was the second, Doug.
And two.
I will repeat that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Councilwoman Goldberg. Councilwoman Goldberg nominated Deputy Mayor Belcher to Class 3 on the Planning Board. Alan Stone to full seat on the Planning Board. Renominating Harvey Rosen to full seat on Board of Adjustment. Michael Klatsky to full member on Board of Adjustment. Ilyas Muyaz to alternate 1 on Board of Adjustment.
Yes.
Okay, and.
Did you get that, Danielle?
Yeah, let me get can I just get the rest?
Say it again. What did you say?
Oh, go ahead. Did you have one too?
We're
Denise?
going to go around.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think I'm next.
I'm just trying to write them all down.
Okay,
You
so
next.
next I'd like to nominate Dwayne Harley.
I'll second.
For alternate 2 for the planning board.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Thank you.
And anybody else? You wanna go?
Sorry, Deputy Mayor Belcher, that was Dwayne Harley to alternate 2.
For the planning board, yes.
And that was seconded by Councilwoman Goldberg?
Yes.
Mayor, can I add 2
Yes.
more? Just to finish off the planning board, Deputy Chief Seth Kriegel for the Class 2 member seat, just want to renew his
I
seat.
don't believe that's us. We don't do that.
We don't?
That's a manager.
Oh, okay, so delete that one. All right, just, I noticed that he was expiring. And then, for the, assuming the alternate 1 seat is now available, Victoria Marina for the alternate 1 seat on the planning board.
Second.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Morgan, you can still nominate.
So you're nominating Victoria Marino to planning board. What was it?
Alternate 1, and then I have some Board of Adjustments as well. So renewing Letitia Williams for Board of Adjustment. She's a full member. Promoting Amrit Ramjatan to alternate 2, which is a 2-year term. And then nominating Elliot Kolb to alternate 3. This would be a new member, new addition to the Board of Adjustment. And then also nominating Jesse Leon as alternate 4
All on Board of Adjustment.
on Board of Adjustment.
I'm sorry, Letitia Williams, that's Board of Adjustment, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I have for alternate 3 and 4 that those are 2-year seats, but only 1 year remaining. We'll fix the dates later, but there's only 1 year left in their term, but they're 2-year terms.
Understood. So one of them is filling an unexpired term.
Correct.
Cool.
And then library board.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You nominated Victoria Marino, alternate 1 on Board of Adjustment.
On planning board.
On planning board, thank
Yep.
you.
I'll send you all this.
Yeah, cool. And Letitia.
Letitia Williams, Board of Adjustment.
Yep.
Amrit, Board of Adjustment.
Yeah.
Elliot Cole, Board of Adjustment. Jess Leon, Board of Adjustment. And then library board, Chandra Young renewing her. I thought it was, okay, go for it.
Sandra, go.
And Celine
And
Wong.
I'll nominate the mayor's seat to Celine Wong.
That's it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to nominate all the expiring
Did
terms.
we, I'm very sorry, Debbie, Ellie. Did you get a second, Danielle?
So-
On all that?
I'll second those.
Cool, sorry. And then you did Chandra to a regular seat, and you did Celine
For the mayor's seat,
to
correct.
mayor's seat. Yeah, sorry.
And
I'd like to nominate all the expiring terms of the Board of Adjustment to be reappointed and elevated to the next seats.
I think that was done.
That was already done
No, you left a couple of people out.
on the Board of Adjustment.
You got everybody? You reappointed
Yeah.
everyone? Okay.
Danielle just did that.
If you want to just repeat that, Danielle, just for the clarity, don't mind?
Specifically Board of Adjustment,
Yeah.
or you also talking
No,
about
just
planning
Board
board?
of
Okay,
Adjustment.
Board of Adjustment, currently, Michael Klatsky holds the alt one seat, but there is an open full member seat, so he would be promoted into the full member seat.
Okay.
The alternate two seat is currently Muiz Ilyas. He would move up to the alternate one seat. The alt three seat is open, and the alt four seat was currently held by Amrit Ramjatan, so he would move into the alt two seat. So that leaves alt three and alt four open. We just interviewed Elliot Kolb and Jess Leon today, and I just nominated both of them to the alt three and alt four roles.
I thought Mermelstein was expiring?
He was not. There's an error on the website.
Oh.
No.
So he just has to be renominated to his seat.
Okay, so then let's renominate him as well.
Ellie, you second
Can
that?
we have a second
Yeah,
on that?
second.
Okay,
Okay.
got it. Thank you. And let's, okay, so let's do roll call.
Wait, that means we're also doing Mark Mermelstein to be renewed?
Yes.
Second.
Let's double check all these dates by January. But I'm
For the,
adding
for the
to-
actual vote, you want to double check the dates.
Correct.
And we're not doing anything right now. There's no vote right now, if that's the case, correct?
These are just nominations.
Yes.
Council's nominating tonight to see a resolution on January 6th, first meeting of the year.
Correct. And should there be a special meeting, we may want to move that to that. Is that what the Personnel Committee's understanding was? If there's a special meeting, we'll ask you, Mr. Clerk, to move that up. Okay. So if that's the case, are we ready to move on then? Okay. Old
Yeah.
business. New business. Communication. Committee reports by council liaisons. We have the municipal open space trend of report and the field advisor report. How do we want to do that, Mr. Clerk? Did you?
These are typically in here just as an FYI.
Perfect.
Council member or chair has some kind of.
Excellent. I read the reports. The reports for the public, they are in the packet. They are very informative. Probably one of our more informative reports ever. I thank our chairman for both. Avi Berlin are in there, and we hope you can do all our committee reports.
Does he want to present them or is he good?
I think he is, I mean, do I have a count? Does council is good on this? Okay, excellent. Council listed items, advertising trucks, Councilman Goldberg.
You listed it.
Excellent. Okay, there was some members that approached us with a desire to discuss, I believe, I don't want to use the word ban too loosely, so please someone correct me if I'm wrong. A code introduction is what we're looking for the restricting, to use that word, of advertising trucks as it relates to the elections. I'm not sure if I'm saying that properly, so feel free to edit that.
I don't know if it's just the elections. I think it's also just a traffic issue, but I think it was permitted. Like, I don't know the right wording, but I don't think we can limit it to elections. I think in general, there's like a
Yes,
traffic
so
safety issue with it,
we
like
had this issue,
distracted
thank you.
driving.
We had a few issues a year ago where there was several years back where there was trucks that drive around town not making deliveries, but the sole purpose is to function as an advertising vehicle. And as such, what we're looking to do is require permits on that in the future. So what we're looking to do is not a heads on that or a conversation on that.
I'm a yes on that.
Not heads, okay.
Okay, I have a couple of questions here. What makes this different than any other type of truck that's advertising or perhaps even a billboard that is digital that displays information? I'm just trying to understand the scope.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you the scope and I'll also tell you the workaround. The difference is that a truck's making a delivery also functions as advertisement, but its primary job is to actually make a delivery from point A to point B, not to simply drive around emitting emissions and traffic to promote their advertising. So should someone want to get around this rule, they can function as an Uber driver, they can function as Uber Eats, and that would actually accomplish it. But the sole purpose of a vehicle solely to advertise and not make a delivery is a definition of this.
So how many trucks do we suppose ride through our town that's not making deliveries, that are maybe going from one town to another town and just happens to be driving through Teaneck? One could say that, you know, that this is kind of like a slippery slope when it comes to, you know, identifying, you know, the purpose of every truck that has a message on the side.
Trent, that's a very, very, very valid point. So for example, if it's election season and it's saying vote for A, B, C and driving around town, I'm pretty sure they're not heading to Cliffside Park if they're talking about Teaneck elections. So I think that is specifically one of the concerns. There could be any other concerns, but as it relates to Teaneck-based advertising, I would imagine they're not going to Regional Park or to Elmwood Park as well.
So our intent here is just to restrict any type of verbiage as it pertains to Teaneck elections? Is that the goal?
Absolutely the comments.
Just
I'm sorry.
elections.
Can I finish? I can finish talking though. What I'm referring to is the complaints that came from the public. The complaints did not come from me. The complaints came from the public. You can by all means Oprah them. Were based on Teaneck elections. It could be anything else. It could be a truck that says grand opening at Stop and Shop on anywhere. Please come and visit. And driving around. It could be anything related to that we can control. Again, this is why we have a healthy conversation. This is why we have dialogue. If we don't have the nodding heads, so be it. We're presenting it. We don't yell and scream about it. So, or maybe some people do.
Mr. Mayor, do you mean sound trucks? Maybe that's the better clarification. I think like, is that, I don't know if that's the right
referring
word.
to physical advertising trucks. If you want to modify it, again, I'm acting on what people's request to me was. So I'm open to anything, having a conversation.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I can't imagine this is the first time this has come up in a town, and there must be some case law for this. Is it possible to just ask for some information for our next meeting?
Sure.
We're in no rush for this. So absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, no, my concern is just the legality of this. It seems like it'd be very difficult to implement. How can you limit advertising on one truck but not another based on the whatever speech is on that truck?
Understood.
I think this would be really difficult for us to legally implement and hold people accountable to.
Okay. That's why I guess we ask our attorney. See if he says no, I guess that answer.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Okay, we'll have to turn over to our attorney. Township managers report.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council and Township residents. Leaf collection has come to a close as of yesterday, December 8th. Any additional leaves placed to the curb must be bagged. As you are aware, we did a trial of no parking approach to several streets and are still reviewing the efficiency. We also used an open roll-off this year, which increased our weekly pickup efficiency from 4,400 yards per week to over 6,000 yards of leaves picked up per week this year. Total yards collected to date is 18,200. We will complete our final pass this week. The Township's annual toy drive has just a few more days left. December 15th is the last day for the drop-off of toys to our Township locations. Thank you to those of you that have participated. Please join us for our annual menorah lighting celebration, which is scheduled for December 15th at 5:30 p.m. on the Municipal Green. Music, fresh donuts, latkes, hot cider, and hot cocoa will be served for all. Santa Claus is coming to Teaneck on Sunday, December 21st at 4 p.m. The route is posted on our website. Santa will only pass once to wave to our Teaneck families this holiday season, so please refer to the website for locations. Our first Kwanzaa event is scheduled for Sunday, December 28th at 4 p.m. in Council Chambers. At 5 p.m., join us on the Municipal Green to light the Kinara for the first time as a community. PSC&G began the delivery of the switchgear to the substation on Palisade Avenue today and will continue with several pieces of equipment this week and possibly Monday, December 15th. Please be reminded that this is intended to upgrade the existing substations around the state for continuity. There may be some disruption to Rota Center programming, so please stay informed. Please be advised that our social worker will now be scheduled on Wednesdays at the Rota Center for our seniors and for residents that need assistance. Our pedestrian safety demo project to include the installation of curb extensions is in the post-survey review phase. Our team will be meeting this week to go over the responses and next steps. The Township, Traffic Bureau, and Easy Ride continue to review and work on new initiatives to improve areas in need of pedestrian safety upgrades. For our grant updates, we are currently preparing our CDBG applications that are due later this month. Some project updates for you. Our Argonne Park Tennis Court is officially reopened. Bell Avenue Bioswales, the bids were reopened on November 25th, and the contract will be awarded at an upcoming council meeting. The Brooks Park Exercise Station, the lowest bidder is Develop Builders with a total bid of $180,680. We will plan to award at our next meeting, and the restroom design is in the final review phase. Sagamore Park Improvements is now in the design phase as well. Maple Avenue improvements, we are addressing some punch list items. The Phelps Park splash pad, the contractor has submitted drawings and is now getting some building permits to start work in the coming weeks. Palisade Avenue, West Tryon, and Galway Place improvements. Construction began in November. Concrete work is complete, and the milling and paving will take place in the spring. Livingston Place and Clinton Place sewer line replacement is out to bid, and the opening date is December 30th. Griggs Avenue, Van Buren Avenue, and Herrick Avenue from Palisades Ave to the dead end of Herrick Park is now in the design phase as well. A general update for you. On December 3rd, 2025, the township successfully sold 2 notes, one for $32 million to Jeffries LLC at a net interest cost of 2.59%, and the other for $3.5 million to Passaic Valley Water Commission at a net interest cost of 3.899%. The loans will close on December 15th, and proceeds will be used to temporarily finance the costs of various capital improvements and acquisitions, and to finance various special emergency ordinances. The township secured a quite favorable rate for both these one-year bond anticipation notes. Special thanks to our CFO, Isa Abbasi, and our financial advisors. Wishing you and your families a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and a happy and healthy New Year. Thank you, Mayor.
Ms. Hashmat, can I ask a question, Mr. Mayor? I keep getting questions about the scaffolding on Cedar Lane. Do we know if that project has started yet?
The project has started right now. I did ask our construction official. I did get some email requests also about the project that's underway. They are doing some testing, and the scaffolding will stay up for a couple more weeks. It's for protection of pedestrian safety.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Township Attorney's report. Anything more, Mr. Attorney?
Nothing more, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. Okay, I think that takes us to good and welfare. I apologize for a second. I apologize. Yes, okay. Ordinance.
Mr. Mayor.
1 second, I'm sorry. Yes, page 5, sorry. Okay, I apologize. Okay, ordinance, so, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, we're gonna go to ordinances. Is there
Yeah,
something
I
else?
have a question on the ordinances.
Okay, so hold on, let me just open up. We're going to public hearing and the adoption of ordinances, which we do a hearing first, and you have a question? Or you want to
My
ask?
question
Sure.
can you explain, can someone explain 41-2025? Like, what is the impetus for this? What is the reason? What is it doing?
Okay. Mr. Attorney, do you want to jump into that? That's 4125 as it relates to the application review committee.
Oh, okay, the application review committee. So that was an ordinance that was requested by our planning board chairman, Chris Brown. It is primarily to clarify the responsibilities of the board secretary versus other members of the application review committee in terms of who is supposed to notify applicants about different parts of the process. So, for example, when an application is being deemed complete or not, or being forwarded over to the rest of the board for consideration, it's really clarifying primarily who it is that is responsible for actually notifying the applicant in that case. while we were doing that, we cleaned up a couple of the other wording, like some of the typos and other things like that. That's primarily what it's meant for. And so in that first paragraph,
Are we creating any additional filters or challenges for our residents with the creation of this, or?
no, this is just, I think we're probably now going to make it a little easier in that it defines who it is that they're going to be in contact with, which is the board secretary. That way they're not being contacted by other professionals that could confuse issues.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna call them, George, do you want to usually read it first or second? I apologize, I'm just out of sorts here.
Deputy Clerk DeNorcia will read the ordinances into the record.
Okay, please go ahead.
All right, so we have two ordinances up for adoption. Ordinance 40-2025, amending section 36-11.2 of chapter 36 of the Township Code for the Township of Teaneck, adding a restricted on-street parking space for handicap parking at 157 Sherman Avenue. And then ordinance 41-2025, which is amending the Township Code for the Township of Teaneck to clarify the actions of the Application Review Committee.
Thank you very much. We're going to open up the hearing to the public. This is for the public to speak and testify on this matter. These two matters only, nothing else but these two specific matters. After that, we'll turn that over to Zoom. Is there anyone in the public that wants to talk to these two? Chair Brown.
Chris Brown, Bell Avenue, to Councilman Cass Point. The purpose for the ARC ordinance is just to clear up some ambiguity with the current chapter, the section in chapter 33. Currently, there's a blind spot in the ordinance, as a corporation counsel has stated, and there isn't much direction to how an application is deemed complete. So the question of how is being answered by the proposed ordinance, or at least that's the intent of it. There has to be some additional changes to the ordinance, some additional changes in next steps. We're looking at the chapter in terms of how it's implemented, and we're going to work on that in the coming months, and hopefully there will be some further cleanup introduced in the coming meetings.
Thank you very much, Chair. Anyone else in the public want to talk on these two matters? See no other hands. Anyone on Zoom? Mr. Clerk. Seeing no one else, this hearing is now over. Mr. Clerk or Ms. Clerk, please take the roll call on 40 and 41 of 2025. We'll do it both together.
I'll make a motion to.
Oh, sorry, that would help.
I'll second.
And we have a second. So motion by Councilman Pagan, seconded by Councilman Goldberg. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes to both.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, the ordinance is passed. At this point, we're going to open up the meeting to good and welfare. Anything and everything is on the agenda. You have 3 minutes, and I'm briefly going to turn over the microphone to Deputy Mayor Organ while I step out for a minute.
Great. I will start on this side of the room first.
Hello, Lisa Bylander Gray, Esther Avenue. This is in reference to the Crossroads presentation. I represent tonight the Coalition of Neighborhood Associations and also the leadership group of the Northwest of Cedar Lane Neighborhood Association. Very interested in the Crossroads development. I live a half a block away. My first question is, I think this will be my only because I think the other one was answered. One of our biggest concerns, not the only concern and not the only big concern, is how this Crossroads proposed project may impact any future redevelopment of Cedar Lane. I think some of you have already discussed this with us, particularly the block between Garrison Avenue and Windsor Road. If buildings come up to the back of Cedar Lane buildings, it seems that this would be a major impediment to replacing old, outdated stores that have not been able to sustain a thriving shopping area. Councilman Deputy Mayor Katz, you spoke about parking. We will have lots of parking. I don't know where people will shop. There are not thriving businesses on Cedar Lane. There are not sustainable businesses on Cedar Lane. It's been a problem for a long time. People come through Cedar Lane, they don't stop. If we build buildings right up to the back of Cedar Lane, there is no way that those buildings can be redeveloped in a way that would attract big businesses and thriving businesses for this community. And we really feel that Cedar Lane should be a focus of redevelopment, and really needs to be refurbished, as do all of our shopping areas in town. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, in the back row? Either one.
Hello all, Juanita Brown, Elm Avenue. I'm concerned about, if I'm still correct, that when there's snow, or a certain amount of inches of snow, there's no street parking? Am I correct with that still? So what happens to the people who live on Alma Terrace, which is gonna be all taken away, and on the other side of Stop and Shop? And these people have no driveways to park. Where are they gonna go and park? They have to walk across Cedar Lane in the snow to get to the garage on Beverly Road? Am I making sense?
We'll answer after. We don't answer now. Thank you.
Debbie Eliyahu. Hi, good evening. I, I seem to be missing something in this whole Crossroads episode. I understood, I was listening to this presentation today and I'm thinking, I'm definitely missing something. They're talking about this project and all the public input and all the changes have been made. And this group and I live pretty close to this project. I'm on Garrison Avenue and I'm thinking, they seem all so happy with this. Where are all the people that are so excited that this is going to happen? I haven't heard of them. I don't know. The guy who decided that this is blighted, and blighted is a really heavy word. I don't see any blight in it. When I drive by, I don't see blight. I have lived in neighborhoods where there is blight. This doesn't look it. It's just an empty parking lot that people park in and that they have a farmer's market. That's not blight. The Stop and Shop isn't next to blight. The American Legion Drive isn't blight. It's just a parking lot. So first of all, I don't see the whole need for redevelopment. Second, when it turned out that the developer had a connection to Crossroads, I don't think it should have continued. It just doesn't seem right to me. The whole thing, I don't know when all of these objections went away and everything turned nice. I don't know. I must be missing something. But that's neither here nor there. I think that I don't know. I just don't think that these high-priced apartments are going to solve things by being put in the middle of town. And the idea of a parking garage doesn't seem to me such a safe thing at night as I feel safe going in the open parking lot with lights. But I do want to ask another question. If these people want to commute by New Jersey Transit, is New Jersey Transit going to be able to provide transportation for additional people? Because when I spoke a couple of years ago to the vice president of buses, he said they can't do anything about providing additional buses, et cetera, for the coming years. So I haven't heard anything about that. So I think that would be something interesting to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Eliyahu.
And happy holidays to everybody.
Happy holidays. Mr. Brown? Mr. Siegel, you'll be next.
Chris Brown, Bell Avenue. Looking at my reflection. All right, there we go. I had the same issue at work. I work the town that I work. The microphone always goes up and down. It's just this weird thing. So I haven't been to council chambers in a number of weeks, couple months, busy schedule. So I have not been here to say formally, thank you everyone. The Sagamore tanks were put in. It was a long road getting there. It was a successful project. And then October 30th happened and it's still flooded, which is, I'll tell you, it was an improved flooding situation. So it was better. The water didn't go to where it usually goes. So that's good. We got to like take our wins where we can get them. That being said, the hill that we had to climb to get to this point to put tanks in Sagamore, countless hours on the phone with many of you, all of you, getting here. I shudder to think the reality of having the town do the work necessary in the parking lot to get to the next step. Do I want to see an apartment building across the street from my house? No. And I'm probably in the unique situation. I keep saying this every time I go up here. I'm in a unique situation where like it literally is in my side yard. So, take that all for what it's worth. Do I want to see that there? No, it's not the first thing I'd ask for. But I will tell you, every time it rains really hard and I have to deal with, all of the externalities of that, that's actually worse. So, given the circumstances, if we can work with Crossroads to make the project as good and as best as it can be, that's wonderful. I've met with them and we have met with them, I would say, as a group over the last, however, a couple of years. Some of the improvements or some of the adjustments that they've made to the project have been the result of us pushing. So also, you can't sneeze at that. So I look forward to you all continuing to push them, continue to work with them, and to hold their feet to the fire with making sure that the improvements that they're proposing to make on Beverly and Cedar, make sure that that's done in the best way possible to make sure that our drainage situation is improved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Mr. Siegel, then Dr. Young.
Good evening, Rich Siegel. I'm a 26-year homeowner here in Teaneck. Wow, that was a lot to sit through, but it was an education too. We had a demonstration last week against yet another illegal Israeli real estate event. And the Jewish community a year and a half ago was given a cease and desist order that cited that 22 laws were being violated by these events. And the Jewish community obviously just doesn't care. They're just entitled. So I noticed that this reporting on it in your paper, Mr. Mayor, says that anti-Semitic protesters face rallying Jewish pride group in Teaneck. That's really loaded. And the photo that is supposedly of the anti-Semitic protesters, the two people who are clearly visible in the photo are both Jewish. So you can't really frame this as Jew versus anti-Semite. It's just not accurate. There have been a lot of demonstrations in this town. I've organized some. I've been to most of them. There have been Jewish people present at all of them. There is a significant Jewish population that opposes the genocide that Israel's been committing and opposes the illegal activity that's been going on in this town. I also want to talk about your Holocaust memorial that you're going to be discussing later. As you know, I'm Jewish. You don't know that members of my family were murdered by the Nazis. It makes me really angry when the murder of my family members is used to provide cover for Zionist atrocities. Okay, they didn't die in order to justify a genocide in Gaza. Okay, This is an extremely inappropriate time to put up a memorial to Jewish suffering when in Gaza there have been 70,300 people murdered by the Jewish state of Israel. That's just the official number. We know that it's actually much higher than that. Yeah, I hear all of the jeering in the background. Hopefully, I won't be assaulted this time. I also had a very disturbing death threat recently. Shouldn't be putting up a Holocaust memorial now unless it also includes a Nakba memorial. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you for
Dr.
letting
Yuck.
me speak, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry to have to follow that. Hi, I'm Norman Levin. I live on Tilden Avenue. I, as all of us here, we've sat through nearly a 2-hour presentation on the development. And I have to say, I feel somewhat disrespected that the professionals got to speak. You each got to ask questions, but then we were not entitled to speak. And now the principals, the architect, the civil engineer, the site planner have all left. You did us a disservice, and it would have been appropriate, rather than discussing the other items on your agenda, to have allowed us to address those people while they're here. I do want to say to Mr. Duval, you had referred to, you've heard community comments. He's left. But as I recall,
The principals are in the room. Please continue speaking.
as I recall, those were not comments particularly, they were objections to the parking garage. And it seems to be a done deal. People have said they do not want to use a parking garage. That seems to be the consistent message I kept hearing. And yet it's a done deal. So I'm voicing my very strident objection to there being a parking garage. The other comment I'd like to make is I heard reference to the commercial space on Beverly Road. We can't fill the commercial space on Cedar Lane. How can you hope to compete with Cedar Lane by having additional commercial space? That seems inappropriate. And I would ask our attorney to make a note of that in his address to the representative, the attorney of the development company. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Levin. Dr. Yuck. Larry Dix.
Good evening, Phil Yox, you know me. So, I've spoken a lot about this development, and you know where I live. I know about the flooding situation and so forth. So I understand how all this works. I've been on this for several years now. So, but I think there has to be a better way to fulfill our affordable housing needs and requirements than urbanizing our town and destroying peaceful, quiet neighborhoods. Incremental development that would spread throughout town would thin traffic instead of concentrating hundreds of cars in one very small defined area. I don't really care about their traffic studies. Every traffic study I've ever heard of, it's always no problem. But we know, we live here. We know what the traffic is like. I have never, in all my years here, 47 years living in Teaneck, seen so much traffic on Cedar Lane and Teaneck Road. It's unbelievable. I was on Cedar Lane the other day. The traffic was backed up from Palisade all the way back to maybe Elm or further. It was insane. And we're going to add another 450 cars to that neighborhood? I don't know what you're thinking. I understand there's a settlement agreement. I know all the legalities and all that stuff. This is a very bad plan. My prediction, you may disagree, is that it's going to destroy Cedar Lane, not help Cedar Lane. Build it and they will come. They're going to go on Cedar Lane. It's not going to happen. And what Lisa Gray said was absolutely right. I was actually happy to hear Chris Brown say, I don't really want an apartment across the street from my house. That's the first time I've heard him say that. I've had numerous conversations. He's my neighbor and my friend. And he doesn't want an apartment building. He just wants the flooding resolved. We all want the flooding resolved. So I talked to the engineer outside. I said, you know, you think this is a 100-year storm? No such thing anymore. No such thing. No more 100-year storms. It's going to be much more often. And he didn't understand. When we have a storm, and even this flooding was much better. I missed the storm. I was at the gym, so I didn't see it. But I heard it was better. But I've lived there. I've seen 2-3 feet of water on the street during storms. And I'm glad to see that the town has done stuff and is continuing to do stuff. I'm very happy about that. But and I'm happy to hear that if there is going to be development there, that they will remediate the flooding further. But they need to understand what the flooding problem is. This is not a curb up to the curb flooding situation. This is a serious flooding situation. And that's pretty much, yes, one more thing. You remember when I said to you, they should build on that empty lot on Winthrop Road. Well, I heard that that property was subdivided now for development. Too bad, because I think you should build where rich people live, including if you're going to build where working people live.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yap. Clara, did I hear something? Clara?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Clara Williams, and I have to read this disclaimer first. The views and opinions expressed in this letter are my own and are made solely in my capacity as a private citizen. They do not represent the views, positions, and policies of the Teaneck Board of Education of any of the members. Any statements, posts, or comments made here are personal expressions protected under the First Amendment and are not made in my official capacity as a board member in accordance with the New Jersey School Ethics Act, NJSA 18A:12-21, and related regulations. Okay. Lost my notes. I just hit the wrong button. Oh my goodness. I know. No, it's too much for me not to be able to read it. I'll have to come back after I pull up the note.
Gentleman in the back. Paul, you go next.
My name is Jay Hanini. So I know that the idea that there's anti-Semitism on the rise, the only thing I see on the rise is more monuments, museums, and memorials dedicated to an event that didn't happen on this soil. If anything, Teaneck should lead the way in building a memorial for Blacks who suffered in this country, who were enslaved, or to indigenous people that were wiped out. Or how about the USS Liberty that was attacked by Israel? How about Teaneck step up and honor the veterans that died for this country in the hands of Israeli terrorists? How about that? Now, in relation to the protests that we had, you say it's anti-Semitism. Sir, when I got there were at least 4 Israeli flags. Not one was an American. When I called that out, the sneaky bastards brought out an American flag after the fact because their lack of patriotism was revealed. Then they had the audacity to sing the Israeli anthem, not even the American anthem. Again, I called them out on that. Then they decided to sing the American anthem. There's a 5th column in this country, and it's Zionism. They are undermining our institutions. They're infiltrating our government. And that's something you people should be concerned about, not anti-Semitism that doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is anti-Americanism by a fifth column Zionist cabal in this country. That's all I have to say.
Paula Rogovan, I'm representing the Coalition of Neighborhood Associations, working for a better TNEC. I heard during the presentation something about giving away parking lots. I wrote it down. It kind of jarred me. The question that I'm asking on behalf of our coalition was answered, but I'm going to ask it again. As required by state statute, has there been an appraisal done of the value of the 2 municipal parking lots that TNEC will be transferring to the developer as part of this development? When will that happen? And it's really, really important to residents that we know that information, because we are not giving away our municipal parking lots. Those are our municipal parking lots. So we need that information. Another question was asked by Juanita Brown, who also has to maneuver her way out onto Cedar Lane, as I do, and as many of the residents do. And one of the questions is, during the snowstorms, we're given a notice that people in the apartments or people who don't have adequate parking should park in the municipal lot on American Legion Drive. We always get that notice. I've gotten it for 42 years. People in the apartments on Linden Elm, Large Elma Terrace are given those notices. That's hundreds of residents are given that notice. Where will they park during the next big snowstorm once, if this complex is built? You talk about the drainage from north of Cedar Lane going through pipes on American Legion Drive and then out into, they said Conrail, but as far as I know, these are CSX tracks, although the 2 rail companies work together often. So the water from the north side of Cedar Lane is going to flood over, don't forget the water comes down the hill, down north, down Alma, and into the tracks. So now how are these trains going to operate if the water from north of Cedar Lane and south of Cedar Lane goes into the tracks? That's a very, very significant question, because trains are absolutely important in the economy of our, and in the economy, they're very, very important. Also, you need to know that the building on Alma is going to be going like an L. That means the water coming down the hill is going to be blocked and trapped by the new building that's being proposed. Is going to be a disaster. So I ask once again that area be investigated in terms of flooding.
Thank you very much, Paula. Before we call the next person up, I just want to make a motion to extend the meeting by an hour. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Extend. After, not yet. We're gonna get some other people first, and we'll get back.
Good evening, Council. My name is Robert Lazaroff on Beecher Street, Teaneck. This past summer, the Northwest of Cedar Lane Neighborhood Association, of which I'm a member, set up a table at the Teaneck Farmers Market, ground zero of this proposed multi-level garage and luxury apartment project, and got a chance to meet with fellow neighbors and shoppers and discuss the future of what such a development would mean for life in this neighborhood, the future of the farmers market, and Teaneck in general. So we did. And what struck us the most in our discussions this past summer was how many of our fellow Teaneck residents had no idea that this massive development is even in the works. It disturbed me, and still does, that communication of such vital information has not been transparent, that so many residents have been continuously left in the dark about forces that will dramatically change life in this neighborhood. This redevelopment plan started during the early dark days of COVID when virtually no one was paying attention and has since spread like a hydra with one vital piece missing: community awareness and meaningful involvement of what this project will mean for the future of Teaneck. At past town council meetings, I've heard it said from the council that residents against this redevelopment are not speaking for the many residents who don't show up to meetings but silently support it. However, at the farmers market this summer, we did not meet anyone who was in support of this redevelopment. Instead, we talked to folks who were completely unaware that this Crossroads debacle is happening. And many residents voiced additional concerns. What happens to a thriving farmers market? Well, we saw tonight it's going to be a little sidewalk in front of some of the buildings on Garrison. But what happens to the farmers market when bulldozers come and tear this apart? Why the need for parking garages when the lots themselves are recently repaved and parking is plentiful? This is no Verizon, abandoned, rat-infested Verizon building, Councilman Katz. Why luxury housing with a small percentage to be affordable when what Teaneck needs is 100% affordable housing? Why rip up and develop the streets behind Cedar Lane when the real problem, what truly needs rethinking and redevelopment, is Cedar Lane itself? Through our outreach this summer at the farmers market, we signed up over 50 fellow neighbors in our district who shared our concerns about what is coming down the pike. My neighbors in the Northwest are not happy with the direction of this project, nor the way that information has been forthcoming from the town. Teaneck needs a way moving forward in dealing with making affordable housing available, but this ill-fated luxury land grab is not it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Jerron Rice, I think that's you. Hi.
Good evening. It's been a minute since I've been in these chambers. So good evening, everyone. And I just want to begin, as you mentioned, just Ron Monry Rice. I want to say thank you to the council for the reflection of inclusion during the upcoming holidays with our Hanukkah, Christmas, and this year, the addition of Kwanzaa, all in celebration of our richly diverse population. Within the last 2 hours, we had a presentation of Crossroads, seeking to attract parking, businesses, and residents. But how welcoming is a memorial in the center of town that only represents one group of people? Which brings me to my concerns about the Resolution 319-2025, approving the parameters of the Holocaust Memorial. Honoring the experiences and sufferings of any group is important and meaningful, but doing so in a public shared community space must be approached with care. When a municipality formally acknowledges one group to the exclusion of others who have also experienced loss, trauma, and historical injustice on these very soils, in fact, in Teaneck, the gesture can create feelings of separation rather than solidarity. I know this has been a project 10 years in the making, but any memorial on public property must be carefully considered. The original plan was for a garden of human understanding, which would have been much more in line with the vision for Teaneck, but I realize that that ship has now since sailed. But in a diverse community, many residents carry their own histories, identities, and painful memories. Elevating the narrative of one group in a prominent civic location will lead other community members to feel unseen, unrepresented, or less valued. Instead of fostering a sense of collective belongingness, it risks reinforcing division by signaling that some histories are prioritized over others. I am sure that there will be many groups that will be coming forth now making similar requests and having a crowded memorial on our greens. But true unity arises when public spaces reflect the full spectrum of the community's stories. Acknowledging only one single group can inadvertently hinder that goal, creating an environment where recognition is perceived as selective rather than inclusive. So to strengthen community cohesion, it is vital that public acknowledgement be guided by principles of inclusivity, mutual respect, and shared ownership of the municipal green space that belongs to all Teaneck residents. Thank you.
Ma'am? So Steve will go next. Sorry. Oh, sorry, Harry.
Victoria Marino, Martens Avenue.
I am that statistic, that average 40-year-old person who can buy a house for the first time. That guy was talking about me. Anyway, I am asking a question on behalf of Aisha on Bell Avenue, just being a good neighbor. She said that her family and herself use the entrance and exit behind the Delta gas station and the pathway by the bank to walk to Cedar Lane. She was wondering if this access will be closed off. I know it's quite granular, so even if that's not answered now by Crossroads, at what point in the planning process does that get covered? Would be great. Thank you.
First, I want to clarify for those who don't know that the Garden to Nurture Human Understanding, which is a term that we created, is open to all groups, and only one other group has come forward in all these years. So the thought that many groups are going to be coming here to create memorials is simply not true, because these memorials have to be privately funded, and that's when people say we're going to create a memorial for this and that and the other thing, but they have no money for it, and the township is not paying for these things. That becomes a different problem. The Enslaved African Memorial Committee, from my understanding, is still working to get their memorial done. So in all these years, only 2 groups have come forward. As far as the memorial on the something that happened in other soil, let's point out that World War II, World War I, the Korean War, all those memorials are on the green right now. Those certainly did not happen anywhere else. I also want to point out that there are there are thousands of people in this community, myself included, who lost relatives, who had parents who survived the war. And believe me, this is not something that's done to exclude anybody else. The green is open to anybody else who wants to do a memorial in a positive way. We want to do this as an educational experience, as well as a place to memorialize those who were killed or those who survived. And any other political football that anybody wants to make of this is simply not true. And this will be something that will be a positive thing for our community. Just like a Holocaust museum, just like a museum to enslaved Africans, it's meant to educate people. It's not meant to divide people. And anybody who wants to take this and switch it and change the intention is simply doing it for their own political nonsense. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to speak? I saw some hands over there. Rachel. Larry, you'll finish up next.
Rishma Khan, Teaneck resident. First, I speak on my own behalf. Thank you, Mr. Fox, for clarifying that. So Teaneck can uphold our diversity, equity, and inclusive principles by opening it up. And I encourage all my fellow neighbors to bring their requests to the town council for memorializing other forms of oppression, injustice, global genocides, and global holocausts that have happened, so we can actually show that we are a global community. Think local, act global, or maybe it's the other way around. Now I'm speaking on behalf of the Coalition of Neighborhood Associations. As it was mighty clear, everyone who came up here to respond to the Crossroads presentation, which was fabulous in trying to cover all bases, has been against this project. So I am appalled at this stage to think how this project has even been progressing with this much of clear and consistent public opposition. At what point will we have to tell you that the neighbors around are going to be impacted further beyond everything that has been considered? And it is clear that so far we have not had full transparency into the financials and the long-term benefits to Teaneck residents. Yes, there will be a vibrant community, but several times I have discussed with esteemed council members, we have to actually develop what exists of drab Cedar Lane right now before we start adding more people, buildings, and cars to this area. So I think that's blatantly obvious, and we are missing, as Deputy Mayor Belcher rightly pointed out, we are missing a comprehensive environmental study because we are really building, and this is the town we are going to leave for a few generations. So when will these questions be answered? As much as we are being silenced with the beautiful myriad legal presentations from experts and professionals. We will continue to voice ourselves when we come up here. So that's really the big question mark. Why are we going ahead with this project when there is so much of ambiguity from neighbors and we don't have a consistent communication around this? And it's been 5 years. So it's not just the people up here on the desk, but people consistently, council members have failed residents in this matter. Thank you. And wishing everyone happy holidays.
Thank you very much. Clara, if you can please come up and say those thoughts you missed. No need on the disclaimer. Disclaimer noted.
Thank you. Members of the council and neighbors and friends, I stand here before you as a 55-year resident of Teaneck who cares deeply about the town. In recent weeks, I have received emails, online posts, and even some members of the council have accused me of anti-Semitism. That is a very serious charge, and it cuts against everything I believe in and that I work for. As an African-American woman, I know what it means to be constantly on the receiving end of hate-driven targeting and harmful labeling just for being who I am. Since I was young, I've carried the weight of stereotyping and suspicion, and that is exactly why I have always been against hateful rhetoric and coded language toward others. Let me state this clearly. I reject anti-Semitism in all of its forms. There is no place in my mind in Teaneck for anti-Semitism, racism, Islamophobia, anti-LGBTQ hate, and sexism, and I might need to add Buddhism. During the Board of Education campaign, I first learned from Deputy Mayor Karen Organ at the library rededication that a supporter had shared a video and people were trying to link it to my campaign. At that time, I tried to make it clear that I did not create, post, or approve of any such video. She told me it had already been taken down, and until that conversation, I did not know it existed. Let me be clear again that I do not support any content that uses charged imagery about Jewish people or any groups. Even if the intent is to speak about local control or issues, the effect of that imagery is in poor taste. Our campaign was not linked to that video whatsoever. I cannot control every social media post made by every supporter. Just like you can't control posts from the council, nor can you control your supporters' posts. None of us can. But I can control my response, and I set and enforce clear standards. So I can't finish this letter. I will send it to you, but I basically want you to understand that we all have a part in this, making sure that there's no anti-Semitism, there's no racism, and to reach out to your colleagues and ask them before you make accusations.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, everyone. Dr. Pruitt, is there anyone else?
Dr. Pruitt, okay, sorry about having the change of location. I'm here because I love this town. Tonight, we're going to make a decision as to whether or not Teaneck is the multicultural Mecca of America. We're going to have to be real careful about that for one particular reason. Teaneck was the center of slavery in Bergen County. Along Hackensack River, there have been developments where people worked in slavery. And if we want to celebrate human rights, we ought to look at what happened to people right here at home. I think it's a very, very dangerous position for us to take, especially with the world conditions as they are, to put a memorial for the Holocaust, which was in Europe, on the village green at this particular time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pruitt. Is there anyone else in the chambers that'd like to speak? Anybody else? Mr. Jackson?
Good evening, Council. Ray Addison, Teaneck. I want to have a few words because I think it was so eloquently spoken about in terms of the monument. I believe monuments are very important. There's no denying that. But I think there's a place for monuments that will service everyone. And at this time, in this country, in this world, I don't think we need to display a monument on the village green, because the village green belongs to everyone. And once we start putting monuments on the green, then every diverse community should have an opportunity to put their monuments as well. I was a member of the original EMC committee where we were going to do the monument with Mr. Fox. It did not materialize. Having second thoughts, if we want to do the right thing, what we should do is not have any monuments on the village green that everyone in town has their money invested in. And Councilwoman Rice was so apropos on what she spoke about. So it doesn't, I will not repeat it because I can anyway, but she was so on target on what she said on why we should be more diverse and think about it as Dr. Pruitt mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there anyone else in chambers before we go to Zoom? Okay, Mr. Clerk, I turn it over to you, sir.
Bringing in Keith Kaplan.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hang on one second, Keith. Can you just turn Zoom up just a little bit, Ron, please? Give me another 1, 2, sir. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Is video working?
It takes a little too long with the camera. I just have the microphone on.
Aha, I see. Okay. I hear that the monuments don't belong on the green because the green belongs to everyone. School district also belongs to everyone, and the BOE in virtually every state, including New Jersey, is responsible for implementing curriculum requirements, which include Holocaust education, because it aligns with the core educational goals of fostering tolerance, critical thinking, and civic responsibility. And to call it divisive directly contradicts the BOE's implicit and explicit findings that education serves a unifying educational purpose for the entire student body. And that's exactly what this memorial does. It serves an educational purpose. That two prior and current Board of Ed members who were responsible for ensuring this education happens throughout the district would call such a memorial divisive. It shows that the education seems not to be penetrating to a certain level for the adults in our community. And to bring up, I understand that Trustee Williams said that she was not responsible for the video, but she was responsible for the advertising truck that went around town on election day. And that advertising truck said, "Stop the non-public takeover. You had one Jewish candidate running, and she said, "Stop the non-public takeover." It doesn't take a dog whistle or a decoder ring to see what she's talking about. It's reprehensible. It's deserving of censure. And the ethics charges currently pending against her and the civil rights issues pending against her will bear out a lot of what she has done over the course of time. But I bring it up here because I want to make sure that no matter how reprehensible Clara Williams might be, and no matter how disturbing her message might be, this council does not make an ordinance based on the horrible topics that she puts on a truck. I want to make sure that this council, when it creates an ordinance regarding trucks, does so for all advertising and not based on the particular content, as horrid as her content might be and as mean-spirited as it might be, that this council does not make an ordinance based on the content that she put on that vehicle, and that it is content neutral and generally applicable to every advertisement that happens across this township. Thank you very much.
Who's doing? Thank you. Who is doing that countdown? We're not going to do that.
We have Shanaz.
Hello.
Hi, Shanaz. 3 minutes.
Hey, tonight I speak not just as a resident, but as someone shaped by the Teaneck Public Schools. I learned about the Holocaust, about slavery, and the line that Columbus discovered America. But what I learned was incomplete, and the missing pieces matter because they belong to the people who live in our town. We were taught about the 6 million Jewish lives lost in the Holocaust, but not so much about the 5 to 6 million non-Jewish victims, the Poles, the Roma, disabled people, political prisoners, LGBTQ, and the Muslims who risked their lives to save Jews. We didn't learn about Nur Inayat Khan, a brave Muslim Indian woman who was captured, tortured, and ultimately executed for helping Jews and supporting the resistance. Our curriculum spotlighted certain atrocities while silencing others, leaving gaps in our understanding of the world and in our understanding of our neighbors. For many of us, the real history came from our families. I remember my mother's fear as she searched for the uncle who disappeared during the partition of 1947, hiding with her siblings as violence raged outside. These are not distant stories, they're living memories, and Teaneck is full of them. On my block alone, more than 20 countries are represented. Each family carries a history of flight, of trauma, of survival. Around the world, nearly every community has known profound devastation. About 9 million Native Americans lost to disease, displacement, and massacres, including the Lenape. Over 45 million who died under British colonization in the Indian Holocaust, about 13 million African Americans who perished during the transatlantic slave trade, and centuries of racial terror. These histories do not compete. Pain does not invalidate someone else's pain. Recently, my Israeli neighbor shared her grief about Palestine while fearing for her own mother in Israel. Her pain is real, just as real as the pain carried by my Palestinian neighbors. Teaneck is a place where these stories live side by side. That is why remembrance matters and why remembrance must be inclusive, not discriminating. So tonight we ask the council to take meaningful action along the Holocaust Memorial, which I support wholeheartedly. We ask for memorials that reflect to reflect the diverse history of Teaneck, an African American memorial, an Indian Holocaust memorial acknowledging the millions who were killed for 2 centuries, a Palestine memorial, a Native American memorial honoring the Lenape, the original stewards of this land. Let us build a Teaneck that tells everyone's stories, not to reopen wounds, but to acknowledge and learn. Thank you for being inclusive of these memorials to the Garden of Understanding. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would you like to start?
Can you do me a second?
Sure. Would someone else like to start? Who's gone? WAG? Anything? Oh, no, everyone's passing. We don't, some people don't have anything to say. You don't want to? I'll gladly start. What's it?
I have something to say. I just don't want to go first.
I'm sorry?
I just don't want to go first.
Okay, but we're going to go first today. So why don't we start?
Sorry. Sorry. So I was really, really hoping that I didn't have to get up here and do this tonight. That we would not sit here and accept hate speech for anyone in this town. That we would not sit up here and accept the denial of hate against any other people. Hate speech is legal. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be condemned. And it has to be condemned immediately. It's how we learn from each other and learn what's okay and not okay and change as a society. There are 15 million Jews in the world, Reform, conservative, Orthodox, unaffiliated, and they're not entitled. What a really sad world we live in when instead of learning from each other, we have to compete over trauma. Last meeting, I was on a Zoom for the council meeting because my uncle died and I was in Florida. We're on his deathbed. He talked about his father coming to America to escape the pogroms in 1905. And then he talked about his grandfather being shot by the Nazis on a death march in 1941. The Holocaust happened overseas, but there is not a single Jew that's alive, including Mr. Siegel, that was not directly impacted. It was the systematic murder of 6 million Jews and also 5 million non-Jews. It didn't happen overnight. It happened when neighbors turned on their Jewish neighbors. It happened when anti-Semitism, including the anti-Semitism that was spoken in these chambers tonight, was normalized, and when it was accepted to spread conspiracy theories about Jewish people and collective blame for their suffering of others or themselves. Anti-Semitism is a different kind of hate because of how it manifests, and it's based on conspiracy theories, and it's based on words. Last week, Mayor Schwartz and I were in a room together of mostly non-Jews in New Orleans at a Combat Anti-Semitism conference, and I cannot articulate the way that I felt being in that room. The gratefulness that I felt heard, and I felt seen for the first time in over 2 years, that I was not alone and that my life mattered. The trauma that Jewish people have felt after the abandonment by their so-called friends and their so-called allies and people that they broke bread with, people they loved, to sit here and listen to the hateful anti-Semitic words be spoken in this room, and instead of answering questions about development, I have to use my time about what people have failed to do, and that is condemn hate speech when it happens, which is why I have to do this tonight. This is not a religious place, but I'm going to say that it is sacrilegious to sit here and disgrace the souls of those that were murdered in the Holocaust. I really, really believe that we were in a place that we could just disagree on how to fill potholes and how to pave roads and pilot agreements and budgets. I really, really wanted to believe that I didn't have to make this speech tonight, but I was wrong. I was very wrong. So to anyone that wants to have answers to their question, I will go through and I will watch this meeting and I will email each and every one of you the answers to your questions on the local issues tomorrow. Unfortunately, tonight, Jewish history was erased by my neighbors, and I would never erase anyone else's life or history, and I will always take the opportunity to learn from other people. I also want to thank Pat Butler for teaching me so much, and I do look forward to supporting the Enslaved African Monument, and thank you for giving me the same respect. Never again is right here and right now in this room. Anti-Semitism, anti-Judaism, anti-Zionism is all forms of Jew hatred, and none of it belongs in these chambers, in this town, in this country, or in this world. You've all sat here and watched me for a year visibly disagree with my fellow Jewish colleagues and them visibly disagree with me, and we disagree on a lot. But each and every one of them, and including myself, we've all experienced anti-Semitism directly. And if each and any one of them needed help tomorrow, today, I would be there for them, because it's not about whether we disagree on something. This is who we are. And we are all Jews, and maybe we don't all practice the same way, but we are all Jews. There is no competition here. I want to thank Mr. Fox, and I just want to say, I really wish I didn't have to do this tonight, and never again is now.
Thank you very much. Your Deputy Mayor?
Minutes.
Yes.
So Before I begin, I want to just acknowledge I'm going to talk about the memorials first. I want to acknowledge the deep significance of the Holocaust and the importance of remembering its victims. Honoring history, especially its most painful chapters, is an essential part of who we are as a community. And I think the intent behind creating a Holocaust memorial is meaningful, it's powerful, and it's deeply respected. And I want to be clear, this started 10 years ago. This wasn't a project that was just launched. And while the timing is not ideal, given the tension in the world and the community, I want to be clear that this was not a brand new project meant to create additional tension to the town. So I think it's only fair that we acknowledge that. At the same time, I also think it's clear that we speak openly about the original vision for the project. This memorial space was initially conceived as a joint remembrance that honored both Holocaust victims and the millions of enslaved Africans whose suffering and resilience are the foundation to American history. That joint vision reflected the diversity of our town and our shared commitment to acknowledging all forms of atrocity and injustice. As we know, the two groups that were working towards this effort chose to separate. And that has resulted in a situation where right now we are looking at just putting up the memorial for the Holocaust, just putting up the Holocaust memorial. And I think that is where my concern begins. It's not whether or not the Holocaust deserves recognition, because of course it does. The concern is about equity, inclusion, and community cohesion. We have to be mindful of how decisions that we make about public spaces can impact the relationship between communities, especially when both histories hold deep emotional and generational weight. My goal is not to stop remembrance, but to really prevent unintended division. As a council, I believe we have a responsibility to ensure that any memorial placed on our municipal green reflects the values of the entire town and does not inadvertently send a message that one community's pain is prioritized over another. And I don't believe that is the intent of this project, but I think that is the optics of it if it does proceed as planned. So I just wanted to share that first. Now, second, I wanted to address the comments on the Crossroads project. I want to thank everyone for sharing your thoughts so passionately. I want to also start by acknowledging that we all, truly care about Teaneck, the character, the charm, and the quality of life in our town. And many of us came to Teaneck because we want to see the same, we love the way that Teaneck is, the look and feel of it, and we don't want to see that change. Totally get that. That said, I think what folks don't understand, people are saying, why is this being pursued when no one wants this in our town? The reality is that we have an affordable housing crisis issue where the state is mandating that we find affordable housing. So my question to you all is, if not this project, what do we do instead? What do we do instead? Right now, because we are communicating with Crossroads, we can have impact on what this looks like. And we've already heard from neighbors that we've been able to have impact. Do I love the idea of building a parking garage around 3 residential homes and then no, of course not. It doesn't make sense. And then potentially stopping future development behind Cedar Lane. No, I don't love it. It doesn't make sense. But at the same time, I don't want to risk that we get sued by developers for not committing to the affordable housing requirements, and then they get the right to do whatever they want in the future, right? Like, we don't want to lose our control. So that is the struggle, is how do we find affordable housing and have a say in what it looks like in our town? So I don't love the development plan. I really don't. But we need to figure out a way to address our affordable housing needs. So that's where we are. Happy holidays, everyone. I hope you all enjoy safely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, I just want to start with Stop and Shop and then talk about the monuments. Basically, 100%, we are in a major dilemma when it comes to affordable housing in our community. Not to mention our nation, but most focused on Teaneck. We do have an obligation. There have been many bad actors, many other towns that haven't given a thought to affordable housing. That's not us. We have always made every attempt to fulfill whatever we could when it comes to affordable housing. There are ways in which we can do a better job by engaging the developers. Many of you hear me push for, instead of 15%, let's go for 20. Let's see if we can get more out of the developer, making sure the developer does impact studies, because we want the quality of life to be good for our neighbors. We don't want to put these monstrosities within our town only to have issues with transportation and traffic and so forth. We as a council, just in the last 2.5 years, we've enacted a ADU ordinance, which is a means by which we can find alternative types of housing. So housing is an issue, and it will continue to be an issue until we until we find alternative ways, until we put our heads together and say, okay, what are the strategies? What can we do? And it's not the best. And oftentimes I know it seems like it's an equity scenario. Like someone mentioned earlier, why isn't it in another part of town? Why is it always in a certain part of town? These are the questions that we are constantly looking at and asking those questions and making sure that things are done equitably as possible. The point of the matter is that it's not easy. It's not easy sitting here. It's not easy trying to find the balance, but we do the best that we can. So, and I do agree with Councilwoman G in that what else can we do? And we are in situations like that where it is a scenario of what else is possible? What are our options? So we will hold the feet to the fire of the developer. We will continue to push because we represent you. We represent you. And just always remember that. As it pertains to the monuments, I just want to say that, you know, tonight, clearly, I mean, the purpose of this memorial is sacred. We think about the effort to honor millions of people that have been, you know, murdered, and not just in terms of the Holocaust, but other scenarios. The enslaved African American Memorial. The intent 10 years ago was the focus to look at how can we remember people that have suffered. And it's a very emotional issue for many of us, and I get it. When we think about tonight, we're not just discussing whether remembrance matters. We know remembering matters. It absolutely does. But how do we remember is thoughtfully integrated into our shared public space. In other words, how do we remember on land that belongs to the people? This resolution does more than approve just a single wall. It establishes a precedent and a policy framework that allows us to look at up to 5 different memorials. If you go back and look at the original document 10 years ago, there's up to 6 memorials on the green. 6 of them. And rightfully so. I mean, who am I to say which group should have a memorial? Every group should have a memorial. The whole idea is that our master plan emphasizes preservation of open space, design quality, public engagement, and community cohesion. These values remind us that when permanent changes are made to highly visible public space, community input is not optional. It is essential. As elected leaders, our responsibility is, of course, to honor sacred memory, but is also to preserve shared public assets, to engage our community transparently before making any lasting decisions. This proposal has evolved for many years, for 10 years, and tremendous work has already been put into this project, with clear physical dimensions, prominent locations, and so forth. But there are not minor details. They define how our communal space will look, feel, and function for decades. Public spaces are meaningful. They're meaningful to all of us. Our community involvement does not slow good projects. It strengthens them. It builds consensus, prevents misunderstanding, and ensures that when everything is erected in place of shared ownership, residents feel pride and they're not surprised. We as residents, we want to understand the full vision, as stakeholders to feel that you're heard, and future generations to see that these monuments are reflective of unity rather than division. It's entirely possible, entirely, and deeply important to support the Holocaust remembrance while also remembering all memorials, all people that have suffered. for broad public participation in shaping how public spaces evolve. And lastly, involving the community now protects the integrity of this memorial. It strengthens trust in municipal decision-making. It sets responsible standards for any future monument proposals. So as we move forward in a manner that reflects our township values, it's important that we involve the community. We involve the community. So I am going to be making a motion. I make a motion actually right now to establish a permanent community monument coordination committee. I know that, to work collaboratively with all 6 monuments to ensure that they're unified, they're cohesive, that they approach design, it approach size, placement, and overall scope of all monuments located on our municipal green. This is the people's land. This land belongs to the people. So why wouldn't the people be involved? So my motion, and I can say it now to make it for later, is that we establish a community monument coordination committee to be involved with these monuments.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Belcher. Deputy Mayor Morgan, please go ahead.
Yeah, just a few things. I'd like to thank Ms. Williams for coming out and denouncing that horrible video, and it's so nice to hear your feelings on anti-Semitism. That's what I had requested of you outside the library. I know all of our elected officials in town, on council and on the Board of Education, received a letter asking them to denounce the horrible video that had dollar signs with Jewish stars and really stereotyped the Jewish people in a terrible, terrible way. I don't think that would have been tolerated for any other group. So I thank you for spending the night with us late into the night to come out and give your message against the horrible video. I hope the woman that made it will not be involved in anybody's campaign going forward. I hope she won't be anybody's campaign manager. It was really not acceptable in a town like this. I understand the feelings some people have about one memorial being approved tonight and not another. I would like everybody to know that this council has been supportive of both memorials and are waiting for the next to come forward to us with funding and a plan to get in the ground. Somebody always has to go first. And I'm very happy for the Holocaust Memorial Group that they were able to get to this point. We have offered, the mayor and I have offered to work with any other group to help with fundraising and to help move another monument forward. I do want everybody to think, though, would there have been this kind of reaction and outcry if another monument had been voted on first? And that's really what I think we all need to think about now. You know, we all have interests, and we really do try hard to think of other people and where they are. And talking badly about this and bringing up worst case scenarios doesn't help anybody. As far as development goes, this council has a lot of work to do between now and the middle of March. We have 6 developments that need to be approved. A lot of them are distasteful to some residents. This one, Crossroads, happens to be the biggest, but it is part of our housing plan and does need to be approved. I hope that all of my colleagues will work together to approve all of them so that everyone in town understands that this is something that's been mandated by the state against the town or for the town to help us so that we can build more housing and provide more affordable housing. People may not be happy, but this is our job now. This is our mandate from the state, and this is what's going to happen going forward. So thank you, everybody who's still here and who's watching at home, for staying with us through the beginning of this process.
Thank you very much. I'll make my comments brief so we can get on with our consent agenda. I'm no stranger. It's not anyone's surprise that I'm in favor of this project on Crossroads. As a community, I think we can have respectful dialogue. We saw what dialogue has done year after year. We're cutting back the project, changing the project, but we also can't start making things up. We can't sit here and say this hasn't been a transparent process, that no one knows about this process. People in town aren't aware of this, and the gentleman who said that then left. Everyone's aware of this project, and if you're not aware of this project, then you're not paying attention. This has been 6 years. This has been public meetings. This has been council meetings, and there'll be many more meetings. So if you don't know about this project, you do now. And if you don't, you're not paying attention. As it relates to the people in this room that maybe had some questions that they didn't hear that were answered during the presentation, this presentation was recorded. A few comments that people made of what's going to go on with the commercial space. We don't want commercial. The developer and his staff pointed out that that is for the Buddhist center, and if the Buddhist center does not occupy that commercial space, it'll be returned to the building proper and not become a commercial occupied space. A few other quick comments. There was a comment about making this 100% affordable. As someone who does that in New York City, I love that, but 100% affordable costs millions of dollars in subsidies. This particular project, which will cover 59% of this township's affordable obligation, which is something I think we all as a town look forward to. With that said, Mr. Clerk, I'm sorry. Oh, yes. So last comment, I do apologize. Thank you very much. The parking lots in the parking garage will be available during the storm for people to park, and it'll even be covered. So I may move my car there as well. Mr. Clerk, are we ready to start with the council with the agenda, with the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
can Denise make her motion now?
No, the motions are made under new business. Let's list that for council. Council listed for the next meeting if we want to form new committees.
Well, it's actually for one of the resolutions.
So that
Yeah.
then when after the consent agenda, we'll pull it and we can discuss it at
Yeah.
that point. Thank you.
Okay, for the consent agenda, we have one raffle, 2 sets of minutes, resolution 318-2025 to 344-2025, and a bill list in the amount of $12,543,640.91.
And I will make that motion. Is there a second? Anyone? Let's pull up. Would you like to pull some stuff? please?
Second. Pull 319-2025.
Okay.
Okay, and that's in light of a resolution that I just stated earlier that we.
Well, we're going to pull it first. We're going to discuss it.
Okay, sure.
Is there anyone else that wants to pull anything?
Mr. Mayor, can I pull,
Yes.
341? That's it.
341. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, can I pull 318?
318.
Oh,
Just for a separate vote, please.
Okay. Is there anybody else? Okay, I'll make the motion on everything else.
Wait a second, Mayor. Deputy Clerk, can you just reread what we're pulling from the consent agenda, please?
I'm sorry, say it again.
I just want the Deputy Clerk to reread what we're pulling from the consent agenda.
Resolutions 318-2025, 319-2025, and 341-2025 are being pulled.
318.
318 was listed.
319, 341.
Yes.
326.
And 326.
Okay. Make that motion. Is there a second on my motion?
Second.
Second Schwartz. Roll call and everything else, please, Deputy Clerk.
Sorry.
Councilman Goldberg,
Hold on, sorry, I was talking to manager. All right, yes to all except for on 325 and 326, and I'm abstaining because it's not the most updated Rossi, and I'm abstaining on the bills list.
Thank you.
and bills. Okay. Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes, with an abstention on the bills list.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
I can probably.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Okay, we have several that are being pulled. Let's start with 318.
That was me, Mr. Mayor. Just real simple. I wanted a separate vote on that.
Okay, there are vote. Is there anyone else make the motion if that you want? Can make the motion.
Well, I'm voting against
But you can still make the motion. I'll make. You don't have to vote for it. You can
But
make the
isn't
motion.
there some clarification on that? Hasn't it-
Yeah,
that
it's
has
it's
to-
just their contract is expired, and I don't like extending pilot contracts if you haven't raised the money over a certain amount of years to build that project. So I'm going to be voting no against it, but I'll make the motion to pass it
Thank you.
just to move the process along.
And I'll second that. And Mr. Clerk, roll call on 318, please.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
I'm a yes for, it's an extension until, for 1 month.
okay. Councilman Pagan,
No.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Abstain.
okay. Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
The extension is until when now?
January.
Yeah, yeah,
Mike, January 30th, right? Or February 1st?
yes.
Okay.
And Mayor Schwartz?
Yes. Okay, that is approved. Do we want to skip 319 for a second and do 341? We're gonna go on,
Okay.
no, we're not skipping. We're just gonna do the easy ones first. Okay, 341. Who pulled 341?
Me?
Okay.
Yeah,
And wait,
sorry,
326 also.
yes, I'm just, give me 2 seconds with the manager on this one. 2 seconds, I promise.
We did
Okay.
326.
Do you want
Go to
to
the-
read
Three-
319?
We'll do 326. 326?
So
Yeah, wait, we had 318, 319, 326, 341.
Correct, we're gonna do 326.
We skipped over 319?
Yes.
Okay.
326.
the dollar amounts in 325 and 326 are both for the grant that we got for Argonne. So I just was trying to get the attorney's attention. We need to change before we vote on 326 so that we're actually agreeing on the right dollar amount. That's all.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. This is page 145. The state grant number should read 750,000.
Figure that?
Is that?
750,000 goes, which resolution?
What this is?
Instead of 375, it should be 750 to us, right?
This is the
For
this,
vote
the,
two.
this is the attachment to 326/2025. Yeah, page 12.C.3.A.
On the floor, I need to hear the attorney, I'm sorry. Say that one more time, Scott.
This is it's the attachment to resolution 326/2025. Packet page 145, 12C3A. The number there should read, it says 375,000 under the state grant, as well as it also says that under the state share. And that those two numbers should read 750,000, and then the local government share should say $0.
Do you have to extend the meeting?
Okay, not yet. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do a roll call and then we'll extend the meeting right after the roll call on that. Is there a motion? Can you please make the motion?
I'll move 326 with the amendment.
And I'll second 326 with the revised amount. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Goldberg?
Yes.
Councilman Pagan?
Yes.
Councilwoman G?
Yes.
Councilman Katz?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ?
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to extend the meeting by 30 minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I believe are we ready for 341 over there? We're gonna skip 341. We're gonna go to 319. I'm sorry, it's been very disruptive.
Do you want me to go?
Yes, please.
Okay.
319.
I'm gonna go now, but in
Yes.
terms of just, I'm gonna repeat what I repeated earlier. I make a motion to establish a community monument coordination committee to work collaboratively with all 6 monuments committees to ensure a unified, cohesive approach to the design, the size, the placement, and overall scope of all monuments located on the municipal green, our shared public space, the people's land.
Second.
What's 6? I'm sorry, what's 6 monuments?
And is it the community or council
It
members?
is the community. It is the community, and it is in line with what the original document said. It calls for 6 monuments.
So there's not
So-
6 you're labeling.
No,
Oh, there's 6.
we don't know what they are. We do not know what, well, 2 we have identified as the Holocaust monument
Sure.
and the enslaved African
Understood.
American
And
monument.
you're looking for
But
this.
there are 4 additional monuments, and the purpose of this motion is to establish a permanent
Mr. Mayor.
community monument coordination committee to work on all.
No, but I know the committee makeup is?
To be determined.
Okay, Mayor Katz?
I always value community input, but I think the last 10 years of input was pretty valuable, no rushing there. And just want to clarify one thing. I want to remind everyone that even though they're decoupled right now, the 2 monuments, they originally started as individuals by themselves, and then they joined together, and then they decoupled. So with that said, I'd like to amend the Deputy Mayor's motion to say that we can create this group to focus on the next 4 monuments.
I think we have a
I just need a second on if,
Well, we do have, keep in mind, we have a motion on the floor.
yeah, and I make an
So-
amendment.
Okay, you're asking me to amend my motion.
No, I'm.
You're asking me to amend my motion.
Making the motion. So the way.
Okay, so you're amending my
Right, he doesn't have
motion.
a second.
If I have a
There's
second.
seconds on it.
So what you're saying is that the very first, the two monuments already have established a cohesive approach to their design, their size, their placement, and overall
Oh,
scope.
yeah, I would think so after the last 10 years. And by the way, taking state money that we took state money or took taxpayer money. I would think that 10 years, they've talked it out. So,
So you're you're.
so I
amending
like
it
the
to be
idea of
like
community
for the next
involvement.
four.
Next four.
Is
So
there
we
a
don't-
second on that? I'll second that for the purpose of getting a vote going.
Can we have discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. Sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So I understand the impetus for this. I understand why it's being brought forth now, but there is no detail to it. There is no scope to what this group can do. If there's power to the group, if they're advisory to council, I think it's something worth talking about, but to pass it tonight would be irresponsible of us. It would just be a reaction before voting for a Holocaust memorial. So I think we can separate the two and still vote for one or vote against it if people are not in favor. And then this is something that should probably be council listed so that we can start to talk about it, start to talk it through. But for a motion at the end of a meeting just to be reactive, I think, with no detail, I think that would be irresponsible for us.
Differ, I beg to differ because it.
Yeah, no, I just have a process question. So I plan on supporting 319. I always have and I always will, just like I'm going to support the other monument. So is this like a separate task force or advisory board committee or just a committee to complement this process? Or is it just, or are you putting legislation into this legislation?
It is to develop a committee that oversees the monuments on the green. This.
Yeah, because I want to support your idea too. I like your idea about getting the community more involved in this process. But I also want to pass this, but I also want to support your idea.
That the intent is, in order to pass this, we need to recognize the fact that the municipal green belongs to the people. So let the people be involved. Yes, 10 years, we've been running around different governing bodies have had different say about different monuments, these two monuments. But I venture to say that residents haven't.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Not.
No, I understand what you're doing.
They have not been involved with looking at the design, the size, the placement, the scope.
I get it. I get it. I understand what you're doing because I want to support both your ideas, but I want to see this pass tonight too. But I will also support your idea if it's a separate thing so that this can also pass, if that makes sense.
Let's hear some more comments. Councilman.
Sorry, I think I'm a little confused about, I guess, two things. So they're monuments that it's been over 10 years, and I think Deputy Mayor Kess, you were on the original subcommittee, I think, right? If I remember, but the design of them, right, they're private. And I get that it's on public land and everything, but I don't know, and this maybe is a question for the attorney, like what is this task force committee kind of a thing, and what's their oversight over private monuments if they're on public property? I understand that, which is why we have to approve the designs, et cetera, but I don't get what the role of this is. I'm just trying to understand.
I would venture to say, Councilwoman Goldberg, is that we want to have, let's say, for the sake of argument, that we all agreed at 6 monuments. Don't we want to have some input in terms of how they look? There's the size, the placement of them, and so forth. I mean, granted, I understand the Holocaust Memorial is we're talking about it happening sooner, and even the enslaved African American monument. But let's say 10 years from now, there's the 5th and 6th monument that comes along. Wouldn't we want to provision the location of each monument day one, as opposed to saying monument 1 and 2 is 50 feet wide by 50 feet, long. Don't we want to have our community to have some input so that in the final analysis, we have a municipal green with 6 monuments that we all can be proud of? So that's the intent. That is the intent of this committee.
I'm going to jump in there. I'm going to actually agree with Deputy Mayor Organ. I think those are very healthy conversations. I think it's actually an important committee, and I think it should be discussed at the next council meeting so that we go over the makeup, the charge, and have a proper discussion on a new committee that talks about these future monuments. So I'm
I'm sorry,
going to make.
Mr. Mayor, can I just ask for clarification?
Yes.
Is it a new committee on the future monuments or on these 2 current?
Very, very healthy. I want this conversation to take place at the next council meeting under council listed, which is where we normally have these types of conversations. And that comes out of those council listed items, committees, task force, ordinances, and resolutions.
So why don't we just vote on the motion that's on the floor?
We can do that if you like.
Just-
I mean, I don't want you, I'd hate to have it
Make
turned
a
down.
motion
Fine.
And
No, I-
Councilwoman G has,
Now,
Councilwoman
it's-
G
oh,
has seconded
excellent.
my motion. So if you either vote for it or vote
Okay,
against.
So this is an amendment to your motion.
Or would you,
No.
would you agree to let her have that vote? I don't know if it has the support.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's, do you mind if we call that vote on that first? I don't
We'll
think-
vote.
Well, I don't
vote.
understand. There's 3 mindsets here. There's one mindset to say, let's talk about it methodically at the
Mhm.
next council meeting.
Mhm.
There's one mindset to say, let's come up with a committee that's gonna start bureaucratizing all 6.
No.
And 4 of them, we don't even know what they're about, but
Correct.
2 of them were talked about for the last 10 years.
Mhm.
And then there's the third mindset that says, you know what, we spoke about 2 of them, we've seen the designs, we've been given information. I'm sure there's some I'm sure there's some resolutions that have spoken about different size, et cetera, that we've talked about.
So let's just take
So-
the vote.
So my
recommendation
right
is
now,
take
it
vote.
stands that there's an amendment. So it's either there's an amendment that we're gonna do only the
I
4
think Robert's
future.
rule speaks to the fact that whatever the motion is on the floor, let's take the vote.
Amendment
We're in
first.
Robert Rules.
Amendment
motion,
first.
Version 76 on the amendment. So, Mr. Attorney, we have 2 conflicting ideas here. You can please rule on which one we're voting.
There's a first and a second.
So once a motion was made and then a motion to amend that
Mhm.
motion was made, you have to, under Robert's rules, you have to vote on the motion to amend first, then you vote on the initial motion.
Okay.
Yeah. And then because the motion was on an original resolution, then we're voting on the original.
Now,
We're gonna vote on,
Mr. Mayor,
yeah,
I'm willing to offer up a compromise.
what do you have?
No, well, we'll see if I have 4. I will withdraw my amendment,
Uh-huh.
but I will make a motion to table the proposed the proposed
Yes.
request from the deputy mayor. This way, it doesn't look like the council is voting against open ideas and community involvement, and then we could talk about it at the next.
And I would second that tabling.
There's no discussion on a motion to table.
Is that true, Mr. Attorney?
Is that even a part of Robert's rule?
Yep.
It actually is. There is a process. So the motion table then takes precedence over the original motion.
So it's an excellent idea, but it's motion to table. Can we please call the roll call on tabling? Second is Schwartz.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
No.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
No.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, the table, Mr. Clerk, please list that on the next meeting under council listed items so we can probably discuss it as per the vote. Okay, we have next on 319. You pulled it. Is there any further comments on 319 before we entertain a motion to vote on 319? That being said, would you like to make or would you like me to make the motion on 319? You'll defer to me? Thank you. I'll make the motion on 319.
Second.
Second. Roll call, Ms. Clerk.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Abstain.
Councilman Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Abstain.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. And I believe we have 341?
Yeah, sorry about that. My only question on this one, and I'm gonna see if Jackie wants to just take it. So this is, we're canceling old authorizations that were in the back of the audit. And the last one, the last two are kind of vague, and I just want to get an understanding on what we're canceling, but the last one, specifically 16-2016, and I forwarded it to the manager again. The auditor told us not to do that, and I just want to make sure that we're doing that one right, and then I'm okay with doing it. So I guess, Jackie, do you want to?
You say yes or no, we call a vote?
I want to make sure that we're doing this right, is my question.
Actually, according to your email, it does state that, and I did message Issa, who is going to just chime in for a moment. We may need to pull that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so then we have, we're calling in our CFO, our usual.
Yep, I'm here.
Midnight meeting special.
Midnight meeting
Yes,
special,
Brad,
wired
midnight,
and Diet
Mr.
Coke.
CFO.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, no worries. So yes, this was something that, we've discussed as a governing body with the manager, myself, the auditor. We do have $1 million that we're looking to cancel from unspent improvement authorizations. But thank you for the reminder, Councilwoman. I apologize. I do have a very good long-term memory, but I may not always remember emails from several months ago. So my suggestion would be to table this. The auditor has always coached me that we'd rather be deliberate in our deliberations and take the time we need to do it correctly. So with the information, you reminded me that we did discuss this in the spring. I'd like to table this, and we've done this before where we can actually do this in the new year, effective December 31st.
Understood. So you're
And
asking
still
us
be
to
okay.
table 341?
Issa, my only question is, the only problem on it with that email was only that last line. Can we amend it to cancel, to do that last line, cancel the rest of it? And then if we end up having to cancel it based on, or not based on Dan's email, but approve the rest of it, is that okay? Like, I don't know if we have to cancel the whole, table the whole thing. I think it's just that last line, that 16-2016.
You could do that as well, and we can, supplement it with another resolution.
I mean,
That's
I'm
totally
all
your
for
decision.
Canceling that. So I want to make the motion to take that one out and approve the rest.
I'll second that motion. Roll call, Ms. Clerk.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jake,
Yes.
Councilman Katz, Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. What exactly are you taking out of that resolution? Which
Just
line?
the last one, 16-2016.
You got it.
That was it.
You got it. Thank you.
So for Doug, Mr. Mayor, if I can, the last line will be stricken, and the new total is $645,034.73. That's 645,034.73.
I'll email you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. Clerk, or Ms. Clerk, ordinances, please. Introduction of two ordinances.
Three? You got three?
Sorry, yeah, yes, you
Yeah.
did.
Alright, so the three ordinances for introduction, we have ordinance 42-2025. Adopting a redevelopment plan in furtherance of the redevelopment of block 5002, lot 26, as shown on the tax map of the Township of Teaneck in accordance with the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 40A:12A-1. We have ordinance 43-2025, amending and supplementing chapter 33, development regulations of the land use ordinance of the Township of Teaneck to address the requirements of the Fair Housing Act regarding compliance with the town's affordable housing obligations by establishing an affordable housing overlay zone designated as the inclusionary housing 1 overlay district and modifying the zoning map. And then ordinance 44-2025, amending township code to revise no parking restrictions on West Tryon Avenue.
Okay, just to clarify on that, ordinance number 1 is 143 State Street. Ordinance number 2 is 827 Teaneck Road. I really hate the fact that we don't list these addresses and list the block and lots. I know my 5002 lot's cold, but not everyone else does.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, real quick. You said
Number
number
42, ordinance 1 that we read, number 42 is 143 State Street.
Okay.
Number 2, ordinance 43 is 827 Teaneck Road, also known as Regina's.
Thank you.
With that said, I'll make a motion to, we'll vote one at a time, but it's fine. I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number 42. Introduce number 42.
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes on 42.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Sorry, just for clarification, that's the one that's the area
That's the northeast corner. You're fully able to vote on that.
okay, okay.
Yes, that's been calculated before.
Thank you.
No, that's at the northeast corner.
Northeast
corner.
Got it. Thank you. Well, then yes.
yes.
Okay, he's a yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
and Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance 43 of 2025, otherwise known as 820 Scenic Road.
Councilman Goldberg,
No, because I have concerns about the lot coverage and I want to see it changed per the planning board's memo first.
Councilman Pagan,
No.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
and Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance number 44, 2025 for a parking restriction
Second.
on West Tryon Road.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Sorry.
You can vote on it.
No, I know I could vote on this. I just didn't, I made a note. I wasn't sure where exactly is this.
This is on West Tryon between Palisades and Queen Anne Road. And this is allowing on-street parking.
No on-street park?
Allowing
Oh, okay,
on-street
fine.
parking.
All right, I'm okay with
On
that.
both sides?
I don't know if it's a south or north side.
One side.
One
It's
side
on
and
the
then it's a-
south side.
South side. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yep.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
42 and 43 are going to the planning board now?
Everybody on their agenda?
Meeting adjourned at 12:08 a.m.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Last meeting of
Well,
2025.
see you next
Everybody
year.
get home safe. Stay warm out there.